wrong. Don't ask him about preseason games, oh no. Stuffing things in Griffin Basso. Despite it being on the internet, he can call it what he wants, so Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Glenn Clark Radio. Duke sucks.
Well, as Cowser moving back, it's going to go off the wall in center field. They're going to wave in Antonacci. The throw to the plate. Save! 2-1. Lines this one to center field. Colson Montgomery, the windmill is on. Throw to the plate. And they got to know the ball comes out.
They had him and the ball was kicked loose.
Bruce Dreckman signaled out. Then he saw the ball and safe at the plate.
Oh, boy, yeah, that courtesy of the Chicago Sports Network as the Orioles lose again. Third straight. Back to 8 games, 500, under 500, matching a season worst. Hey, but other than that, everything is good. Good time for me to go away. Good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn, he's Griffin, and in studio with us this morning, man, this guy, the definition of the word legend.
Oh, come on.
And
now.
on top of that, just a truly great guy. You know him from WBAL. He is the great Keith. And once upon a time, right here at Press Box as well, he is the great Keith Mills. And he's back in studio with us. It's so good to see you, brother.
Glenn, Griffin, it's a pleasure to be here. Anytime I can spend time with John Colson.
You don't need to kiss his ass. You don't need to.
Well, obviously Stan Charles is not here, but, man, those guys, when they started Press Box, man, what's it now, 20?
Yeah, 20.
20-some years, 22
20,
years?
20
years.
Was 20, right?
And Stan approached me, and I was coming off some difficult personal issues, as most people know at that time. And Stan and John were one of the first people to open the door, and I'll never forget that.
Man, it is so good to have you here. It is. I have appreciated all the time that we've been able to spend together since I've joined the staff
Same
over
here,
at WBAL. Brother. It was, Keith and I have been friends for a long time, but Keith had been since you were at Channel 2 when I started in radio. And then we just never been at the same place at the same time.
Exactly.
That's just the way that it always worked until now. And so it's been one of the great pleasures. There was a picture from opening day of me and Keith and Kirk McEwen, and I was like, man, I've known these guys for forever. They are Baltimore institutions, guys that I've looked up to, and now I'm getting to hang out and work with them. Now I just get to call it work. I just get to go on opening day. I got to sit around with Keith for an hour and a half and just talk baseball.
Well, back to you, brother. What you're doing and what you guys are doing, and man, it's the guests you're getting, the relevance you're putting on amateur sports, not just the Ravens and the Orioles and colleges, is great. And the baton has been passed. I love the fact that you guys are doing a lot of, like I said, local. Flaunting the local athletes.
Yeah, man.
That's
celebrating.
Great. Speaking of Kirk McEwen, I spent a lot of time down in Sarasota. Kirk and his family were down, staying in one of our condos down there. You know how Kirk's talking. Your name came up. Kirk goes, man, I tell you what, man. That guy knows everybody. He knows everybody. I said, Kirk, standing behind you, that's saying a lot.
Kirk always. I got to tell you, there was a wild moment for me. Kirk had his brother stop by the studio.
Mark,
right?
Yeah,
who's
Mark was down there too.
A legend, right?
Absolutely.
An absolute legend in this business. And Kirk and Mark are walking out of the 98 Rock studio, and he sees me in the newsroom, and he walks over with his Mark, and he's like, Mark, you got to meet this guy. You don't understand. Glenn knows everybody. And I'm like, you are Kirk and Mark McEwen. The two of you know everybody.
Yes.
It was a wild moment for me.
And anyway, that building, the WBAL 98, WBAL TV, radio, and 98 Rock. There are some personalities in that building, man, aren't they?
It has been wonderful for me. It's really been wonderful for me to be over there and to be hanging out and get obviously Brian Neiman, who I've been very close with for a long time, and getting to do shows with him. It's just been really special for me to be over.
Well, you're doing
there,
a great job. You know, you're one of the few that can translate both sports and then make the transition into the political forum today, which is not easy.
Yeah, it's not always a lot of fun.
Man,
but,
I'll tell you what, some dynamite out there, isn't there?
We've been doing a lot with that. Well, it's great to see you, brother.
Always a pleasure,
appreciate
man.
you being
here. Yeah, tough
here.
loss again for the Birds last night.
Not ideal. We got a lot to do today. Keith's going to hang out for a while. Coming up this hour, Marlowe Wax, Chargers linebacker, undrafted free agent, Mount St. Joe alum, Baltimore native, made the roster, became a significant special teams player. He was back in town this week hosting a football camp at Mount St. Joe. So we're going to talk to him about that, his rookie season in the NFL, how he was able to beat the odds, make the team. And then also, obviously, he knows a thing or two about the Ravens head coach. So we will talk to him about all of those things. And then later on in the program, Ben McDonald will join us. I always like to try to get Ben on. Unfortunately, we're going to be gone for July 1st, but I've had a tradition with Ben that he comes on July 1st so he can welcome us to, of course, to the month of Joo-lie, which is one of my favorite things. Man. So we'll talk to Ben later. And then Jim Bowden, former Major League Baseball GM, Sirius, all the other places. Get his thoughts on what the Orioles do moving towards the deadline. And Keith, a couple of things that I want to start with you. Mm-hmm. Because you and I have talked about the Orioles. We were just chatting about the frustrations this season on Saturday over on BAL.
We were.
I don't know how to make heads or tails of it. I still don't know how to explain, because I do keep coming back to this team is more talented than their record is. Yeah. They should be better than this. I don't think this was appropriate. They should be better than this. They have pitched better than I think we could have expected them to. Their defense obviously has been wretched. The bullpen started out okay, and then obviously that's been a bit of an issue. But it's the offense now that you're just sort of left shrugging your shoulders, and I cannot, for the life of me, explain what is going on, both like with Gunnar Henderson in general, runners in scoring position, even again last night. Like, they only scored 2 runs, but they had the bases loaded and nobody out, and they got 1 run across. I cannot figure out, for the life of me, why this team is as bad as it is given the parts that they have.
I totally agree, and I think Mike Elias, Craig Alvarez, the entire coaching staff, front office are scratching their heads saying the same thing. Gunnar did a lengthy interview yesterday with the local media and talked about his issues, and man, you could almost see and feel his complete frustration, not just him personally, but for the team as well. I think he kind of wears that right now, Glenn, and that's a hard thing to wear because he is the centerpiece offensively of that. Him and Pete Alonso right now of that offense, and man, when one of your big guns is not producing offensively, that's a major problem. And it's Pete Gilbert and I talk about this all the time when the Ravens go through a funk. It's never one thing or it's never one player. It's a variety of things that snowball, and that's what's happening right now. And you hear the Ben McDonald's and guys that have played the famous line at the famous Yogi Berra line is baseball is 100% mental and 100% mental. And man, but particularly at this level, and particularly when you go through some struggles, man, it wears on you because the good thing is you get to play every night and try to come out of it. I wish I had the magic answer. I'm kind of, I felt bad after we got done talking on BAL the other day. I talked a lot, but I didn't say much.
But I think
because nobody knows what to say.
It's the difficult part about this. We're all feeling the same thing, which is there's no reason this team should be this bad. And the Gunnar Henderson conversation is so complicated because we can't ignore he's been pedestrian.
Yeah.
And at the same time, any hope for the Orioles to be better is going to involve Gunnar Henderson looking a little bit more like Gunnar Henderson. And could he just wake up and snap out of it? maybe he had a couple of hits last night.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
what did you think of Albernaz putting him in the leadoff spot?
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
You know, try to shake him up a little bit, or try to shake things up a little bit. You know, I grew up at a time when you wanted your best hitters at 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily the case anymore. When Aaron Judge bats second, had batted leadoff a couple of times in his career. But you know, the leadoff hitters batting leadoff basically just one time a game. But if maybe it'll help, I don't know. You know, the lineup structure. You know, Craig Albernaz says it's all his, and Mike Elias said that the other day too.
But there's
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. It's a cute way of saying it, right? Like, I don't make the lineups. I don't think anybody has ever believed that Mike Elias is actually the one writing the lineup.
Absolutely. Let's hope not.
No one's ever thought that's the case. But he's talked before about their advanced team. He has said publicly, like, there is input, and there's an organizational structure of this is how we do things. This is what we do. This is what the data tells us to do, and this is what you're going to do. This is how he doesn't have to write the lineup because Craig Albernaz knows how it is the organization wants the lineup written.
Yeah. The whole you said something interesting. The advanced team, the statistical what the word I'm looking for is the statistical
analytic.
Yeah, well, it's almost like the young statistical minds that are in that situation.
The nerds, is that what you're?
That are, you know, are presenting the statistical information to the players. I'll go back to what Manny Machado said 2 weeks ago. He goes, man, enough of the statistics. Man, we are deluged with statistics from a hitter standpoint. This is a San Diego Padres start, but everybody does it. I just want to go up there, see the ball, hit the ball, leave me alone, and let me swing the bat the way I know how to swing the bat. I don't need somebody telling me every 5 minutes what the pitcher's going to throw in this count and with the score 2-1 or down 5-2 or whatever. I just want to go up, see it, hit it, and let me play. And I think a lot of players right now feel that way. I think they're overwhelmed with the statistical deluge of information that they're given, and I think it's affecting how the game is played around the league. I mean, there's some bad baseball being played around Major League Baseball. Fundamentally, yes, but also approach at the plate. I mean, how many strikeouts are we going to see in Major League Baseball this year? It's got to set a record.
Well, you're swinging.
I mean, the Orioles are averaging 9 or 10 a game.
You're swinging for home runs. Like that's what they're doing.
Launch angle, and now it's filtering down to the kid. Your son's 11 years old playing amateur baseball, and I went to a camp last week in Anne Arundel County. Really good. Been around for a long time, and it's launch angle, exit velocity, and for pitchers, it's spin rate and fastball velocity.
And not, you know, backside, not
and
with,
man,
two,
I'm like,
with two strikes. Go hit it the opposite way. Go get your base hit and get on base.
And what's the situation in the game? You know, you're a run down in the 8th. You know, yeah, home run could tie it, but get some guys on, and if you get a couple guys on, try to move them over and get and produce some runs without the long ball.
It's interesting you bring that up because I think there was a lot of pushback from the fan base about the idea of Gunnar batting leadoff. And look, I get it. The way that he has performed, you don't want him in the leadoff spot. But it does make me wonder if what they're specifically trying to correct is, now Gunnar, of course, said a couple weeks ago, no, I'm not just out there swinging for home runs, but you bring up launch angle. We've got the data. Like, he's changed his launch angle this season. So if this is their way of saying, stop it. You're going to lead off. Your responsibility now is we need you getting on base. And we need you to start thinking about, again, with 2 strikes, just take the backside.
Yeah.
Like, go to left field. Go get your base hit.
Put the ball in play. Yeah.
Get on base. Get something going. And maybe it's also a similar thought for Taylor Ward, which is like, hey, we appreciate that you've been getting on base, but we kind of needed you to hit some home runs.
Get some pop.
That's the reason why you were here. So maybe if Gunnar is on base a little bit more, you don't feel like you always need to take a walk because you're leading off. I don't know if it's going to work. They only scored 2 runs last night, but Gunnar did have a couple of hits. But I do understand the thought process of maybe trying to mix these guys up and get them to approach things a little bit different.
I totally agree. You can't. Craig Albernaz is under the gun as well. Hard to really kind of evaluate his role in all this, because again, the roster has been such in flux because of injury or poor performance. Every day there's a roster move. I mean, every day there's a roster move. Most of it is pitching related, obviously. Getting some fresh arms in the bullpen. But even that, and this started with Buck Showalter here and Dan Duquette. Now it happens all over baseball if you have your minor league systems close by. I mean, they're the Norfolk to Baltimore shuttle is every day. And I'm wondering if that is really an efficient way to use your talent.
Boy, this is a tough conversation, right? Because the thought is now this is what baseball teams, this is how we compete with the big boys, is that you have a 26-man roster. We have a 32-man roster, and right?
The Orioles used 40 pitchers last year.
Now, again,
One
some
pace
of that,
used 40 again.
they made some trades at the deadline, and that did change things a little bit. But you're right. And I do wonder, I think your point is well taken. Some of that has been forced this year because of injury.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They don't have a choice in certain circumstances. But like the thing the other day where they said, hey, we got to get Dylan Beavers back on the roster. There was a lot of consternation about the fact that it was Jeremiah Jackson who got sent down. On the flip side, the only other real option would be just getting rid of Tyler O'Neill, and that's a tough thing. As I said, I get it. I get why it is that people want Tyler O'Neill to just be gone, but it's punitive. Like, we just want him gone because we're frustrated
with him. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it an actual good decision to make from a business standpoint? That was tougher.
That's a good point. Now, the Jeremiah Jackson thing, obviously, this means you would think that Jackson Holliday is going to be your everyday second baseman, and you're going to find out if Jackson can play at this level long term, because that's still a question mark.
This is the real, if we listed off the issues, Gunnar Henderson's still probably the top of the list right now for this season, but Jackson Holliday was a 1-1. Jackson Holliday isn't supposed to be a good player. He's supposed to be a game changer.
Difference maker, no question.
And I get that he is still young, but he's just at no point has he really – every now and then, like the other day, you see the left-on-left home run, and you're like, right, that's incredible raw power, left on left. Like that's what you think is there, but it's fleeting. Like, you see it every now and then, and you don't see it consistently. You certainly don't see an above average second baseman.
Right.
You kind of see a guy like when you watch Jackson Holliday, and I get it. There's a long time, and some guys it just doesn't happen until they're 25, 26, something like that.
And his injury situation, people, injuries, particularly young players, rarely have they had to deal with that. And so a lot of what could have been valuable at bats for him, and learning as much about the pitchers around the league as you possibly can, he hasn't been able to play. So that all the injury time he's missed is affecting his experience in regards to being a successful Major League Baseball player offensively. You got. What's he got? 300 at bats, maybe.
That sounds
about
right.
That.
Yeah.
And this is his third year now. I mean, that's
double check with that.
I could be wrong.
It might be a little bit more than that.
I mean, 300 at bat. I remember go back to Eddie Murray and Cal Ripken. Kenny Singleton said you need 1,500 at bats to 2,000 to really figure out if you can play at this level. And for every game he's missing,
it's way more than that. He's up to 872.
Okay, any game he's missing is hurting that. That development process, and I'm not so sure I agree with how they used him. Everybody that saw him play knew he wasn't going to be a shortstop because of the arm.
Do you think he should be in the outfield?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know.
Not that they have a better option.
I don't know.
Now.
I mean, they were using all kind of other infielders in the outfield.
A lot of that.
Throw him out there
and I'm not even trying to suggest it's something you do in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
it's something you'd have to go to him.
I don't know.
And I don't know that his family would be on board with it because you make more money playing a more prime position.
Well, right now, I mean, the family, I'm sure, has a say. His dad certainly may, but right now, man, if I'm Jackson, I'm trying to find a way where I can get consistent playing time and figure out how to play the game at the major league level, and because that's basically what he's learning. He's having to learn.
Keith Mills is in studio with us today. There is a new print issue of Press Box, which is available now. Great cover story all about Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown is not what's going wrong with the Orioles right now.
Yes, let's not Bring the
Griffin's
broadcasters
not
back into
convinced
it.
of that. Griffin couldn't help but notice that maybe when he was off doing softball, the Orioles were winning a couple of games.
They're winning a lot.
Kevin Brown on the cover of this print issue. It's also our annual summer travel issue with great sports tourism options all around the state for you and your family this summer. Go check that out. You can pick it up for free at your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com as well. Let's talk about a couple of things projectable moving forward, Keith. Let's talk about the deadline. Because when you and I talked on Saturday, Mike Elias was busy, talking with the media and saying, hey, look, if this is where we are, we're going to go for it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way it's going to be. And there's questions about, is Mike Elias feeling any pressure? Is he feeling any heat? And we can come back to that in a second. But I get it. Like, if you're 2 games under 500, you're certainly not going to, or 2 games out of a playoff spot, you're not going to want to sell off all your pieces and say, well, gee, gosh, golly, we just couldn't do it. That's a tough sell.
Yeah.
It's also tough to look at this group and see a championship contender in this group at the moment. What do they do, and how much does the next couple of weeks factor into what they do?
That's a great point. I mean, a guy who do you who do you go after? He said 2 days ago that if they're a game or 2 back, now they're 4 out of the wild card, and they're 8 under 500. So. This is going to be a huge 2-week stretch for the All-Star break and then another 2 weeks before the deadline. Mike's got to be – they got to be – I'll tell you what, his meetings right now with their scouts and their personnel guys, who knows what they're talking about?
What's interesting –
who do you get rid of? Who do you want to buy and make your team better? Do you have the resources to do that?
If you're buying controllable starting pitching, right? Like, that's what I've said over and over again. Now, look,
good luck to finding
correct.
that.
Everyone if Joe Ryan's available, he's at the top of everyone's list, and someone inevitably is going to have more than you have in order to go get him. It's not that maybe Reed Detmers. Now, I get Reed Detmers isn't Joe Ryan, but he is controllable starting pitching.
Yeah.
That's the top of my list is controllable starting
Everybody's
pitching.
list, no question.
Of course it is. Beyond that, now I think the question comes, is there an offensive profile that this team is missing? Is there a specific
what is their
type
offensive identity? That's
Right.
the question. I don't even know if do they have one?
I don't. You're asking. I got no.
You
answer
got
to
some
that
power in the
question.
lineup. But Alonso's the only one really kind of consistently hitting home runs.
Mm-hmm. That was supposed to be Taylor Ward.
They don't have a lot of speed, team speed. So what is their offensive identity? I mean, we hear that in football a lot. And sometimes I question offensive identity.
Yeah.
It's what? Score points. That's your offensive identity. I love this.
Move the ball.
Move the ball. Run the ball 60 times and you throw it 30, whatever the heck it is. I don't know. But anyway, back to the Orioles. Their lineup. Their lineup is always it's shuffled all the time. Gunnar batting leadoff, Blaze Alexander batting 6th, batting 9th, batting 5th, whatever. Basayo, it looks like Basayo, and when he's in there, he's kind of etched in at the number 5. And I'm not a big lineup stability guy to begin with because, again, things change a lot. But you got to have a little bit of rhythm in your lineup, and I don't think the Orioles have that right now at all.
They don't. I think if you're shopping for a bat, and we'll see if they're in shopping mode. I don't know if they will be or not. Like, it really depends. But if they are, I do think that maybe this is one of those. We've been talking a lot the last couple of weeks about the idea of maybe you're doing a little bit of both at the deadline.
Yeah.
Maybe you're both buying and selling. And maybe some of that is just a course correction. Like, again, I appreciate the fact that Taylor Ward has gotten on base this season, but he's a pending free agent. If you can sell him and maybe find a different type of bat, find someone that's actually going to hit a few more home runs, maybe it's swapping out one for the other. This combination just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
It just hasn't. So I've prioritized. I still think the pitching and obviously the bullpen, I think at this point, if you're buying, you're looking for bullpen arms. But I don't know that you can't. An outfield bat, I think, has to be into this conversation.
Yeah. I mean,
If you're buying, and I'm still, right now, how are you justifying buying? I can't justify buying anything that's a rental at the moment. Anything that you're buying has to be with control.
Yeah. A bigger picture scenario is, my opinion, until they can develop some of their own starting pitching. Brandon Young is off to a good start. If they can develop 2 more kids, but there's nobody down there they're not drafting kids that are able
soon, right?
to come in this quickly.
Have some,
You got to start developing pitchers, or man, you're going to be in this. You're going to be behind the 8 ball for a long time because they're too expensive to buy.
Let's have the Adley conversation.
Yeah.
Presumably, I mean, Mike Elias did say again on Saturday, look, man, we want Adley to be here forever. We want him to we're not looking to trade him. I want to be committed to Adley Rutschman. But typically when you're this close to free agency, agents normally say, we're not going to negotiate with one team. We're going to negotiate with all of the teams.
Yeah.
And they can make all the offers they want. We're going to tell them, hey, make that offer when we get to free agency next year. And if you beat out all the other offers, we're happy to stay in Baltimore. And if that's what they're up against, Adley Rutschman's camp is just saying, hey, look, we're going to free agency. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
Then when do you start talking about that possibility? And obviously you don't have to do it. And I'm not even saying that I want the Orioles to do it. But I do think they have to consider it because if they end up in this spot again next year, then they're looking to move a rental piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right now he might have some value.
Yeah. He certainly has some value. No question about it. Again, you're talking about a guy who's proven that he can play at this level, proven he's all-star caliber. But, he's been hurt a lot and that's being a catcher. The other question is, you got Basayo, and after that you got Huff and you got Creed Williams down on the farm who's playing well, but I mean, are they good enough?
It's a fair question to ask.
Is Sam Basayo a 120-game catcher?
Exactly right.
And
I don't know
how
I feel about that. And I think this year and some of the issues they've dealt with has made us question that a little bit more, whether or not Samuel Basayo is a true 120-game type of catcher.
Yeah, a lot of questions. Mike and his staff, man, they got some work to do, obviously. But, you said something, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it was you. I think it was you. Go back to 2 years. It was June 21st. And June 20th, they beat the Yankees. The next day, they got crushed by, I think it was Houston, 17-5.
Yes, and they end up getting swept.
Yeah, and since that day, they have been under 5. They've been sub 500 by, 20 games, 25 games?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting.
Well,
to say the least.
When
a lot of theories why.
When do we start talking about Mike Elias? It's
well,
difficult. I know you're not
everybody
the type,
has.
Yeah, I know you're never the guy that's calling for somebody to get fired.
No, I don't do that.
And that's not what my bid either. But I do think the conversation is relevant, which is
everything's relevant right now.
How much leash has someone earned? To take nothing away from Mike Elias, and obviously he did build the team that won 100 games.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to pretend like that didn't happen, but they also didn't capitalize on that. They didn't win a playoff series. They didn't win a playoff game. I at some point, I do think that this conversation has to be real.
No question. And talent evaluation is the ultimate evaluator for any general manager. You can again, drafting. Who do you sign in free agency? Talent evaluation. Do the guys you draft and the guys you trade for or free agent signings, do they make your ball club better? And in the last couple of years, that hasn't happened. And injuries, big reason why. And I'm not throwing Mike under the bus because there's a lot of other reasons for it. But the makeup of the team is his responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And one interesting thing that Craig Albernez said the last day of training camp, Pete Gilbert and I were down there, and I think it was I don't know who it was that asked him the question. It wasn't Pete. What's the final roster going to look like? And he goes, I don't know. I don't make that call. And that was, to me, like, I looked at Pete like, whoa.
That's
I'm
baseball.
assuming he's got something
you
to
would think
say
you'd
about
have some
it.
input. Like, I have an opinion about how this goes.
And if that's the way modern the current baseball landscape is, well, the manager, I can't imagine Dave Roberts or Don, when Mattingly was in Miami, now he's in Philadelphia. Yeah. I can't imagine those guys, Stephen Vogt, I can't imagine those guys do not have a lot of say as to who's going to be on their roster. I think
that list is small, though, Keith.
Woo!
I think that what's happening here is basically, like.
I agree.
Buck and I have talked about it a lot. He's like, I don't know that I could be him. Like,
absolutely.
You really don't have any say on these types of things. And that's the difficult part. I was in the camp of when you fired your manager, you needed to go get a veteran a hard ass. You
Yeah.
needed to go get someone that was going to bring hellfire and brimstone with them and accountability. And I have no idea if Craig Albernaz is going to prove to be a quality major league manager or not. Maybe one day he will. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't seem like he's demanded accountability. It certainly doesn't seem like he stepped in on day one and said, this is going to end. All of these fundamental, the stuff that we watched last year, and we just said, what happened?
Now I will say this. I saw them, Cal Ripken was down in training camp pretty much the first week and a half, and we're working fundamentally on certain situations that we haven't seen before. They spent a lot of time in training camp and spring training on the fundamentals of baseball. And the fact that it hasn't translated tells me one thing, that the players that are playing can't do it.
There's probably something to be said for that.
Because we're talking halfway through the season, and this is the second year in a row.
I would
it's not
add
getting
to
better.
that, though, Keith, like, is there an ability for the manager to hold them accountable? Is there an ability to say, you do this again? And look, Blaze Alexander has arguably been their best player, but him getting thrown out at third base before a run scores on Friday night, they won the game. And yet that can never – it's happened to this team twice this year, where a runner behind has been the third out of the inning and cost them a run at the plate instead of saying, I have to stop and make sure that run gets home. And what is the penalty for that? There are certain things that this just can't happen, and there should be a penalty for it.
The ultimate penalty in sports is playing time.
Right.
But when you're subbing, so let's use Alexander. Okay, you pull him and you put,
yeah, they don't really have
Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah,
Let's say
right.
let's say Alexander's playing the outfit. So put Tyler O'Neill in.
Yes, you're making your team worse. I mean, this is the difficult part of the conversation.
You've got. I'm assuming that Cal going down to do some work with the minor leagues is that's not getting taught down there either, and that to me is a red flag. Even though I'm not down there watching Bowie, and I'm not watching Norfolk obviously for Frederick. Even though I know Frederick's having a decent year, but can you play the game? Do you know how to play the game the right way? And I watched a lot of College World Series, and all those kids are trying to do is jack the ball. I mean, it's 15, 12, 14-10 games, and pitchers are throwing 98 and they can't throw the ball over the plate. So everybody can throw hard today. Can you pitch? Do you know how to change speeds? And I'm off.
You're good.
I'm
You're good.
drifting away from the sub. But the subject is, can the players on the team, and any team right now in baseball, play the game fundamentally well? And I just don't see it, man. I mean, there's obviously some good things. Orioles went in and beat the Dodgers 2 out of 3. The Dodgers stunk it up.
Did happen. I want to, before we move on, I just want to react to, there was a comment last night from Craig Albernaz that got people worked up. And I do think that, like, the context is important. And knowing what the question was that was asked, I think, is relevant. This is courtesy of MASN, because there was a lot of response to this, and I feel like it's not as bad as you think it was. This was the interaction that he had.
I know every loss is disappointing, but a couple days ago, you guys were below 500, and Mike Elias comes out and kind of gives a supportive message to this team that he wants to go for it at the deadline. And since you guys have gone 0-3, it's just additionally disappointing just after a few days after Mike's comments.
Yeah, you would think that would hope that eases some pressure if guys are feeling pressure in the clubhouse, but it's one of those things where there's a lot of noise that the players are listening to outside, so it's stopping the distractions and feeding you focus. That's the biggest thing for our guys. So hopefully come in tomorrow ready to go.
I think that people were very reactive. Like, what are you talking about? They're struggling with outside noise. What? I think the answer is fine. I think it is kind of bizarre to be in a spot where you need the general manager to come out, or the president of baseball operations to come out and say, "Hey, we're going for it." Like, I can't imagine that these players need that.
You would hope not.
I can't imagine that.
I don't think they need that. I don't think Mike's message was to the players. I think it was to the fans.
I thought it was,
to be honest
too.
with you. And Craig right here, I think, Any manager, John Harbaugh was the last 5-6 years, that was his message to the players a lot. Stay the heck off of social media and don't listen to the outside noise. But is that realistic today? No. Todd Monken said that.
Mm-hmm.
He said that's unrealistic to think those guys aren't going to get on social media and find out what people are saying about them.
Yep.
And somebody's going to tell them, the agent, the friends, wife, father, whatever. That's part of now being a professional athlete or a big-time college athlete, how you deal with the outside noise. The fact that the manager's got to address it, well, I took no offense to what Craig said right there. I think Craig's fighting a lot of fights right now. How can he get his team to relax? I'm not a big fan of a revolving lineup. Every night is different guys in different spots and different guys in positions. I know you're trying to keep guys fresh, man, but you got to find a way to get some consistency. And if that means playing some guys or sitting some guys longer than normal, you got to do it. The outside noise, that goes away if you start winning.
I think the way it was presented, just without, I think the way that on Twitter, I think people were presenting it without context.
Well,
and
the Twitter world,
presenting
they're never happy about anything.
As if Craig Alvarez just said, well, these guys are it's really tough on them. They're dealing with all this outside pressure. The question that Jacob Kaltenmeyer asked was about Mike Elias's comments. I think that context is relevant. I don't think he's trying to make excuses or boy, they're just dealing with so much. I think it's a response to a question about what Mike Elias had said. I think that was the direct correlation to that. I think the players, Keith, I think there's way more internal pressure.
Oh, no question about it.
There is
it's
external.
all internal.
I think this notion that these guys don't care.
Oh, no doubt about it.
I think there's way more. I think it probably has a lot to do with what you're seeing from Gunnar. That
no doubt about it.
He's pushing. He's desperately. We talked to Pete Alonso about it a couple weeks ago. Pete Alonso said he felt like he was overcooking to begin the year because he showed up somewhere and wanted to live up to all of the hype that there was around the arrival of Pete Alonso. He wanted to immediately be that guy, and he used the phrase. He's like, I was overcooking it a little bit, right? I was doing too much.
Yeah.
I think that internal pressure is always greater than
no question
external.
Particularly in this sport, it's baseball, basketball. You're getting a little tailspin, you might play harder or be a little bit more aggressive. Particularly in football, baseball, man, you can't do that. I mean, you run the bases hard. That is 99% of a mental game.
Yep.
And your physical skills get you signed, and how you deal with failure at the professional level, I think, determines how long you're going to be in the big leagues if the talent is equal.
No,
because failure, man, is and you know what? Another thing you see from younger kids coming in today, they're not allowed to fail. It's somebody else's fault. You're in high school. I went to see a high school game about a couple months ago with Spalding and McDonald at Spalding. Spalding's got one of the best programs in the, and I'm not going to name the kid or the parent, but this kid, who was a really good player, struck out the first 2 times against a decent pitcher, and I mean, he took a beating from his parents. I'm like, what? No. That happens. My point is, it happens at this level. It happens at the high school level.
I do that to Griffin when he makes mistakes on the show. Though. I'm all over him about it. I'm like, come on, kid.
Fear of failure at
Better
this.
Than
hey,
that.
Fear of failure, man, is that's a cancer right now because kids they're afraid. I don't care what you're doing. They're afraid to make a decision because the reaction from either the adults in their world or coaches or whatever can be extreme, man.
I get it.
Even at this level.
I get it.
Even at this level.
I get it. Keith Mills is in studio with us today, of course. WBAL legend. It's the best.
So that means you're really old.
Keith Mills.
There was one legend to me.
Yeah.
That was Vince Bagley.
Well, he definitely Vince Bagley.
He taught us how to do it.
There's no doubt about it. When we come back in, Marlowe Wax is going to join us. Baltimore's own Chargers linebacker, pride of Mount St. Joe. He was just back home this weekend. We're going to talk to him about what it meant to be able to host his first ever football camp, and also a little bit about his NFL experience and a little bit about Jesse Minter as well. So that's on the way. Keith's here. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The stars are shining brighter at Live Casino this summer. Celebrate America's 250th with $1 million. Earn entries daily July 1st through August 29th and snap a pic with our game board for a chance to win $100 in free play every week. We'll draw 50 free play winners each Saturday and $1 million winner on August 29th. Light it up at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnken. If you've been injured in Maryland, you know you need a great lawyer. Look no further than us, Warnken LLC. You've seen my picture on billboards around town. You've seen me on TV. Now I'm lucky enough to get to be here with Stan. Please give us a call. 443-RESULTS. It is not just a phone number, it's a mission. 443-RESULTS. Or visit us online at warnkenlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Sorry, Keith. We're back in here. I was telling Keith the story of we used to have it up behind me, but we got the Never Lose Ever wall. Of course, considering how much they lose, it might be time for that to go. Griffin's in charge of Never Lose Ever while I'm gone. So
that's right, and I'm gonna get it right.
If you got a complaint about man of the match, take it up with Griffin.
I like that man of the match, by the way.
But Keith saw the Sandlot poster that used to hang behind me. That David Mickey Evans, the writer, director, and narrator of the Sandlot, so kindly, after we had him on when James Earl Jones passed away, he reached back out and he sent autographed posters to myself, Griffin, and both of my kids. And Keith and I were just talking about James Earl Jones and, of course, the 93 All-Star game in Baltimore when they had James Earl Jones sort of speak the national anthem, which is maybe the most powerful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Unbelievable.
Like, just unreal. It will give you, a lot of people shared it when James Earl Jones passed away. If you have never seen it, go watch it and enjoy the goosebumps. It will, the hairs on your arms will stand up.
Right here.
100%. It's one of the most special things that we've ever seen. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. So,
and, anytime that's on, you have to watch. It's like Major League right now. When Major League's on, or Bull Durham, you got to watch it.
We have
regardless of where it is in the movie.
We have a tradition in my family that we always watch on the 4th of July. There's certain films that we watch on the 4th of July. We watch Jaws, and then we watch Jaws is a quintessential 4th of July summer blockbuster, right?
Here.
We watch Jaws and we watch The Sandlot, because The Sandlot is the famous scene where they play baseball on the 4th of July because the fireworks light up the sky. and so they have enough light that they can play. So to me, it's like that's perfect Americana. It's beautiful.
You gonna be able to do that on vacation though?
We will
So
not
you'll
be able to do that on vacation. We will be
download it on an iPad or
we're
something.
Do our best.
Well, speaking of directors that are great people,
Mm-hmm.
the director of Bull Durham is named Ron Shelton.
Oh, right.
Who played in the Orioles farm
Yeah,
system.
right. Exactly right.
And when that movie came out, there was a big the Nuke LaLoosh character
was based on
a guy named Greg Arnold who grew up
Yeah.
and went to Southern High School in South Baltimore, grew up in Glen Burnie, and was one of the best amateur pitchers ever to come out of here. Anyway, so I called Ron Shelton. I was with Channel 2 at the time, and we had the Orioles contract, so I was doing a half-hour pregame show. Wanted to build it around this. And could not have been nicer, man. I got a hold of him. So I asked him, I said, is Nuke LaLoosh based on
Greg Arnold?
He goes, for the record, part of him is based on it.
That's cool.
Then he told me off the record when we stopped rolling the tape, he goes, I had to say off the record because
you don't want him
because he would be fleecing
100%. Yeah, he's got to. Yeah, he's.
Well, Ron Shelton also played in the Orioles farm system.
Right.
He played under Cal Ripken Sr. in Dallas, and in the minor class AA ball.
Cool, man.
And Greg was on his team. You talk about some stories, man.
That's
my
really
God.
Cool. That is really cool. Let's celebrate another local athlete this morning and someone who's finding some success. And it was great to have him back in town this week hosting a football camp. He is Baltimore's own, the pride of Mount St. Joe, now Chargers linebacker Marlowe Wax, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Marlowe, it's Glenn and Keith Mills here in Baltimore. It's great to see you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
How y'all doing?
Dude, we are great, man, and we're so happy for you. What was that feeling like this weekend, being able to be back home, to be able to give back to kids that were you, right? Like, that's where you were, to be able to show them, hey, you can do this. Like, I am living proof that you can do this. How special a feeling was that for you?
That's really exactly what it was all about. I mean, it was everything. It meant the world to me just to have all those kids out there, see the smiles on their faces, and really just like you just said, just me letting them know that I was a kid just like them, and that me just showing that it's possible for a guy making it out of where they made it out of to be able to be in the NFL. It meant everything.
That's awesome, man. You beat the odds in a lot of ways, right? Like, you were never maybe the guy that had the most hype surrounding you, undrafted, obviously. Like, what I know some of it is your God-given ability, but what has allowed you to do this, to come from where you came from and reach the NFL, stick it out when a lot of guys wouldn't want to do it? What is it about you, maybe your community, that has allowed you to be in this position?
I mean, exactly what you just said. I think the community is definitely something. Just always just having a chip on my shoulder, just always trying to grind for something better, is definitely played a big part. But also, like you said, like I never been a guy that was always in the spotlight, even coming up in high school or anything like that. I always was like a 3-star recruit and had too many offers. So just going through that adversity has been something I've been going through my whole life, really. So anything, just the undrafted, me not being a starter on day one. So it's not new to me. So me being able to knock down those barriers to any organization I go into from the jump, it's easy for me.
This is Keith Mills. Was Mount St. Joe your number one? Your was that etched in stone? Did you get a lot of offers from some other private schools like Calvert Hall or Spalding or whatever?
Yeah, so I played in inner city youth football league. So private school didn't come until like the very last second. And nobody in my family ever went to any private school, so I didn't know anything about it really. So Mount St. Joe did come at the last second, but I had a coach named Coach Savage who showed a lot of love to me and everything, and that's why Mount St. Joe was my number one. Yeah.
Was Donald Davis the coach when you were there? I think he might have got there after you, huh?
Donald Davis was at Calvert Hall, so I played.
Right.
I used to play against Donald Davis when I was at Mount St. Joe.
Yeah.
Marlo, it's so funny because the way you're describing it, and Keith, of course, has covered literally every Baltimore athlete that's ever existed. Right?
I'm old, Marlo. I'm old.
But it's a similar refrain, and we talk about it a lot in basketball, right? Like the chip on the shoulder. Like Baltimore basketball players, typically undersized, kind of throwing their weight around, like have to prove it. But that chip on the shoulder that you talk about, it feels like a very common refrain from a lot of Baltimore athletes that, like, this is just the way it is for us. We know we have to work harder than everybody else does because we don't naturally get that type of respect. We are often overlooked. How much have you felt that, and how much have you carried that with you into the NFL?
Oh, for sure. I think about it every single day. And I had those conversations with guys from all over the world in the locker room and things like that, and just talking about it, and then just me really letting them know how different it is coming up in Baltimore, how like certain coaches they're not coming to Baltimore to recruit certain guys, or just you might not get same amount of looks or everything, or it's just looked down upon when it's talked about football or just other sports really. So I feel like we all know that it is a certain chip on our shoulder, and when we step into those different locker rooms and things like that, we got to go even harder to put on for our city.
I mean, it's a powerful testament. It's something that I think every kid around here needs to hear, man. Like,
For sure.
It's sort of like John Harbaugh used to say, right? Like, nobody cares. Work harder, right?
No,
like,
facts.
You know a thing or two about the Harbaugh family.
Yeah, you do. Hey, how many times have you heard, hey, nobody's got it better than us?
Every day. You know, that's their saying. That's his saying.
Marlowe Wax is with us here on GCR. Marlowe, you show up with the Chargers, right? And again, knowing that nothing is promised to you. What was your experience like? Like Jim Harbaugh is sort of a caricature to a lot of people, but everybody that plays for him raves about Jim Harbaugh as a coach. What was that experience like for you? And like, how were you able to carve out a role? Is it just the willingness to say, yeah, man, sign me up. I'll go be the greatest special teams player there ever was, right? Like, how were you able to carve out a role as an undrafted free agent in your rookie season?
Yeah, so first it really did just start out as filling out like the locker room and the organization, Coach Harbaugh, what he wants in a player, what he needs in a player. And first started as somebody that's just gonna show up every day, work hard, who's gonna be coachable and everything. So I made sure that I was knocking those things off. And then when it came to competition wise and everything like that, I made sure I was gonna find ways of like where players might not been thinking about, but I knew the coaches were gonna love. So I was making sure I was meeting with special teams coach every day. I made sure that special teams was like a leading factor for me, and that the coaches knew that like I love special teams. I really cared for it. So I made sure I was going hard in that. So once they seen that I love special teams and I was gonna go hard for it, and that I was producing with it and camp and everything, that was gonna be a way I was gonna carve out a role. And that's how I was running about. Once I got my role, I was gonna make sure I maximized everything I could do in that role.
What did it mean to you to play in every game? Like, that part to me is maybe the craziest part about all of this, right? Like, there are guys that get drafted in the mid rounds that are gonna have they're gonna be down on game days. Like, that's the way it's gonna work. You weren't down on game days. Like, you were playing. What did that mean to you that they felt so strongly about you that not only did you make the team, but you were playing? Like, they clearly, you were a big part of this.
Yeah, it definitely, like now, like after the season, I look back on it and say that like that's actually like really crazy that I really was suiting up every single game, and that it's second round picks, it's third round picks, it's undrafted guys that might not play 9 games, but me being able to suit up every game, it's just a blessing from God. I just thank God, and just I gotta make sure that I don't get comfortable and gotta keep on going. That it's the same thing coming for the next coming years.
I appreciate that. Nothing's promised, man. Nothing's promised.
Obviously, in your hometown now, Jesse Minter is the head coach of the Ravens. What can you tell us about what? Give us the inside scoop. No, I'm just kidding. You had obviously a chance to spend a lot of time with Jesse. Hear his philosophy. What's your message to the Baltimore to the Ravens fans about their new head coach?
I think he's gonna be everything that the city is looking for. I mean, like, he's a guru, he's a genius. He's gonna make sure the defense is flying around, but also he's gonna be that coach that the offensive players can come to and talk to and just have fun with and have a conversation with. So they're gonna feel comfortable when they're stepping on the field. They're gonna feel as though that their coach really has their back in any situation. They're gonna really try to play for him because it's gonna be a family-oriented organization now, and I just know he's gonna have those guys fired up coming every Sunday.
It's interesting hearing you talk because I've talked to a lot of guys that played for Coach Minter, and they talk about how like he fits the modern coach. And a lot of Mike McDonald, obviously, who just won the Super Bowl with the Seahawks, like a lot of people describe the same thing, which is he's not the old school, in-your-face, scream for the sake of screaming type. Can you tell me a little bit about what your experience was with just him as a coach and maybe meeting you where you were, meeting guys where they are.
Yeah, definitely. I would say just like you said about the modern day coaches, Mentor, he fits exactly that. Like, he's a genius. He's going to be the one calling the plays. He's going to be the one controlling everything, and then make sure that like the X's and O's are just exactly what they need to be, and that the players are going to be thinking exactly how he's thinking when they're on the field, so they're going to be able to fly around. So I think just like the leaders on the team, they're going to be meeting with Mentor and everything to get the guys from the top of the depth chart to bottom depth chart, so everybody sees the game the exact same way. And I think that's going to be great.
We like the sounds of that. That does sound really good to us.
Mhm.
That seems like it would fit.
But take us back to the camp last week, Marlowe, and what were some of the questions that the kids asked you? What were you hearing from them in regards to your journey and how you got to where you are?
So it really was just I think the kids they just wanted to hear me talk and hear my opinion on certain things. So after the camp, a few kids came to me. They was just asking just a simple question like, what's some advice you got? What's how what's like for a linebacker? What's some advice you got on my steps or things like that? They just wanted me just to talk and just hear whatever I had to say about anything it was. It wasn't really too much of one question. It was just they wanted my opinion
Yeah.
on certain things, and I really appreciated that. Me being able to give back like that, it meant a lot as well.
Did you see any of young U's in that group? You know, guys that you said, hey man, I can relate to this kid, or we came from the same background.
sure,
And who
for
maybe
sure.
influenced you when you were coming up?
For sure, I seen a whole lot of kids out there that I felt as though that like dang, that was just me. It was a linebacker there. He's a freshman going into Mount St. Joe. I was like, dang, that's crazy. I was like, that's tough that he's coming to my camp. And also just the younger kids who were just out there just running around, just trying to have fun. I was like, dang, like they just love the game. And I was like, they used to be me, just a whole lot of energy and everything, just running around like crazy. But growing up, when we're talking about camps and everything like that, who inspired me, I would say Terrence West. I
Oh,
remember
no,
going
yeah,
to
TW, yeah. Well
I remember
done.
going to his camps when I was younger because my brother grew up with him, and I used to always look up to him, to Terrence West, because that was one of the guys who was really from Baltimore City to make it out and play in the NFL. That was somebody I
When he
looked
was
up to.
he was a video game in college.
Yeah, he was
too.
a monster
Like,
at
he
Towson,
was
man.
unbelievable, and obviously got to play briefly with the Ravens as well
Yeah.
during his pro career, which is really cool. That I feel like is the last step that we need to like complete the story. And I get it, you're doing well, you're happy in LA. I understand. Like we're not trying to, but at some point we're gonna have to work this out that you end up wearing.
Oh, I
purple.
gotta come
At
back.
some point.
No
It's got to
question.
work out. Like there have been a handful of guys that have gotten to do it over the year. Laquan Williams, obviously.
Cyrus Jones,
Yeah,
a couple
Cyrus
years ago.
Jones briefly.
Cyrus, yeah.
Dominique Foxworth got to
Dominique.
be a Raven for a bit. We're gonna have at some point. We don't have to rush. We don't have to rush. But now, like your guys here, at some point, you're gonna have to put on the purple before this is all said.
A lot of pressure.
we gonna see. We
Yeah, I
gonna see.
know how that works.
Hey, but in the meantime, keep doing what you're doing.
Yes,
And
sir.
one
Yes,
last thing
sir.
for me, man, I'm very familiar with St. Joe. I grew up in South Baltimore, but my whole block, I went to public school, but my whole block went to Mount St. Joe, and they played baseball, football, basketball. But there is a tradition of giving back in that school. Vinny Smith, who the name, I don't know if you crossed paths with him. He was a wrestler. The Smith Center is named after him, and he is incredibly philanthropic. Mark Teixeira, I'm sure you heard about Mark Teixeira, Gavin Floyd.
Yeah.
Baseball players give back. You are now the Fuller brothers. One of the Fuller brothers went to St. Joe, gives back. You are too. Was that something? Has that baton been passed down as well?
For sure.
Is that part of what you do?
Definitely, I definitely would say that's just coming up in my St. Joe, and just like you said, the Smith Center and everything, and players coming back. I feel like that's like a tradition. That's what they're all about, giving back. In Mount St. Joe, for the school part, we're always giving back to the community surrounding the school and everything. But I definitely say the baton's definitely passed, and that's something I've always wanted to do is giving back. That's a big part of me.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, man. Well done.
Marlowe, where can folks be giving you a follow on social media? Twitter, Instagram, anywhere like that?
Yeah, Instagram and Twitter. This is my name, Marlowe Wax. Just how you spell it, MARLOWE, then Wax, WAX.
Hey man, it is awesome that we get to celebrate you. Like it is,
Yes.
it is so cool.
That is no doubt.
I appreciate that.
It means
Thank
a
you.
lot to see your success, and again that you're taking the time to now come back home. And keep that legacy going for the next group of kids to see that. And the unspoken part about this is There's a lot of kids in Baltimore that don't believe there's hope, right? Like, there's a lot of kids in Baltimore that think there's one way. So for you to be that example for them, hey, man, work hard. Like, work your ass off.
Yes, sir.
It's powerful.
Hey, did Pat Clatchy try to coerce you into playing basketball?
So that's my guy, man. Clatchy. He still texts me to this day. But I played basketball my freshman year. It was just for fun. But after that, I was done.
Wait a second. Hang on. But
That's awesome.
Who would have been your teammates then at that point? Like,
my freshman year, we played. So I came in with like Tyler Browsford, Assault Raleigh. But my freshman year, we played just the freshman team. We had somebody named Cam Sapiano. He was our best player.
Was Ace
Cam Sapienza. I know Cam well.
Yeah,
that's Chuck Sapienza's son.
Yeah.
Was Ace Valentine after you or before you or during your time?
I think he was after me.
Okay, because he's at UMBC or was at UMBC?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, he was after me.
Hey, Marlowe, congratulations.
Yeah, man, well done.
Seriously.
Great job.
May you continue to kill it for a long time in this league, and we really appreciate taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you so
job.
much.
Marlowe Wax, Chargers linebacker and special teamer.
It's a good get right there, man. Well done.
I just think it's an awesome
good job.
Forever when somebody like that. To me, this is the point of doing this, right? Like is
flaunt the locals.
We
man.
are
flaunt the locals.
We are grateful for, and I am grateful that young man is prioritizing being back here and trying to help out another group of kids like that. It's awesome. It's an awesome story. Happy for him. Hope he continues to have a wild amount of success in his NFL career. And it is wild. Like, I don't think people realize how rare that is for an undrafted free agent. Like, we always talk about Ravens players like that crack the 53-man roster. Like, they always keep an undrafted. To be undrafted and to play every game
is rare.
That does not happen, man. Like that, it just doesn't happen like that. To be up for every game. And I get it, like it's more because of special teams, but even for that, it doesn't happen like that. That is an incredible accomplishment from Marlowe Wax. So I appreciate him taking the time for us this morning. And really thrilled for him and the success that he's having. Keith Mills is in studio with us. Why don't we go ahead and do this? We had to do it a little bit earlier on today, but I had a chance to spend a couple of minutes talking baseball with the great Ben McDonald. You know, whenever you can talk to Ben McDonald.
Oh, no doubt.
It's right here on GCR. Well, as you know, today's date is June 30th, and that means tomorrow will officially start the month of... Oh, I was hoping...
Joo-lie.
Yeah! Oh, it makes me so happy. Joining us now here on GCR, he is the great Ben McDonald. Ben, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you as always. Thanks for taking the time for us.
Yeah, Glenn, my pleasure. Always good to chat with you as well, man. Good to be back in Birdland. I kind of took a month off. I was gone for a month. I was working the college game for a while, and so that's all wrapped up. And the Oklahoma Sooners won the national championship, so I'm ready to and glad to be back here in Baltimore and trying to get this thing turned around. I'm hoping for the Orioles.
It's good to have you back, but as you point out, Ben, they need to get things turned around. If I ask you broadly, how do you make sense of this? Because I think we all agree that this team is better talent-wise than their record would indicate. How do you explain the situation that they find themselves in now, 8 games under 500?
Yeah, you know, look, I think it's frustrating. I think it's been frustrating for the players, for the coaches, for the front office, and certainly for this Oriole fan base. So many expectations, really starting last year, and last year was obviously a rough year. And you could write last year off to a lot of injuries, 70 players to get through 162 games, which was a franchise record. And so I kind of wrote last year off just because of an injury standpoint. And then you go sign, you get Taylor Ward, you get Pete Alonso, and you get others, and there's expectations again when the season begins, and gosh, I don't really know how to explain it. I know obviously the pitching got off to a rough start early in the year. There were some injuries there, with Zach Eflin. Dean Kramer may come back tomorrow and pitch. It sounds like there's been some injuries on that side of the ball as well. And, losing Jordan Westberg early hurt a lot, losing Jackson Holiday, for a lot of the season. that hurt too. But also there's been some guys that just have not performed, and the offense has not performed like you thought it would, even having the injuries that they've had, and it's good to see the starting pitching get going, Kyle Bradish has kind of looked like Kyle Bradish other than his last start, and Trevor Rogers has looked really good. And look, the starters have been solid for the Orioles in the last month. I've been kind of following it from a distance. They've been really good. And last night was another perfect example of that. I mean, Shane Baz was outstanding, but I don't know how to say it or really what the answer is. It's just baseball to me. And I'm around these guys all the time. I watch them work out hours before the game. It's not for, I know the fan base doesn't want to hear this, but these guys are working, and they're working hard, and they're trying to be the best versions of themselves. It's just not panning out as of yet, and there's so many things that I could put a finger on. I think it begins with defense, and the defense to me has just been off this year for whatever reason. And I think it was a concern for everybody going in, okay, this team's probably going to hit. They're going to be an average pitching staff, maybe slightly above average. But we didn't know about the defense. And if you look what's happened this year, I think the Orioles are at the 5th most errors in baseball, and nobody has more unearned runs than what the Orioles have this year. The Pirates and the Orioles are tied for the most unearned runs in baseball going into play today at 55 each. That's a lot. And so there's a lot of things that have to get cleaned up, in my opinion, for the Orioles to make a run at this thing. And look, the great news is that in a typical year, the Orioles will be out of it by now. I mean, way out of it, with the American League. But going into play yesterday, there were 4 teams in the American League that were above 500. That's it, 4 teams. And so it's been a wild year. And because of that, the Orioles are still, in my opinion, just one good week or a good week and a half of baseball, and they're right there again. Now, I know they're going to play today 4 games out of the final wild card spot, I think is what it is. But, look, there's plenty of time to get this thing turned around. I do believe, to your point, this team is very talented. I do believe that they're quite capable of putting it together and having a strong second half. And I do believe that they are and can be a playoff team with some help at the trade deadline. But look, Mike Elias made it quite clear the other day that he wants to be buyers at the trade deadline, but that's going to dictate how the Orioles are playing. And it just feels like if the Orioles were within striking distance, around 2 or 3 games out, or hopefully they're better than that, going into the trade deadline, that I think Mike Elias is going to be buyers, and Orioles will be buyers and try to get them over the hump and get them in the playoffs.
Let's cover a couple of things that you mentioned there, Ben. I want to start with, when we talk about the disappointment, I feel like the name that's most thrown into that conversation is Gunnar Henderson. And obviously last night, Gunnar got going. Craig Albertaz moves him up to the leadoff spot, and I think that a lot of people were surprised by that given his struggles. But what do you make of that? Do you feel like that could prove to be a turning point? Do you think they should stick with him leading off? And just what do you make of Gunnar's struggles in general and how we've kind of got to this point?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And look, I still look at Gunnar Henderson as a premium player. I look at Gunnar Henderson as a franchise player when I see Gunnar Henderson. The care factor, in my opinion, for Gunnar Henderson is off the charts, and I think it hurts him from time to time. Like, he really wants to do well. He really cares a lot about this team, about this franchise, and about his performance on the field. I saw Gunnar in spring training. I thought he looked great. I thought Gunnar was poised for a 30-30 year. And look, he's on pace to hit 30 homers, but we know that the batting average is not where we need it to be or where he wants it to be by any stretch of the imagination. And so I don't know. I think it's learning for Gunnar Henderson. He had a lot of success, obviously, a little bit earlier in his career last year. Maybe not the numbers, but it still was a career high last year in doubles. I thought he played defense great last year. I think he only made 8 errors last year, but he's your franchise player. And I'm glad to see Craig Albertaz sticking with him and not dropping him in the lineup. I think that's a crazy decision, honestly. I know a lot of people around Birdland say, we got to drop him in the lineup. But let's be honest about this. If the Orioles, and I said this on the air last night, if the Orioles are going to make the playoffs, it's because Gunnar Henderson got going. That's got to be the biggest part of it. Pete Alonso needs some help. We know that. And Petey's had a slow start, and, man, he's been awesome as of late. And he's doing exactly what you hoped he would do when he came to Baltimore, put this Oriole uniform on. But he needs some help around him, and it's got to be the guy, Gunnar Henderson, to do that. And so Gunnar's got a lot of pressure on him, but he wants that pressure, I think, in some ways. And I think that he's poised, and I think he can have a good second half. I heard him talk like you did the other day, and he sounded very frustrated. I think he's frustrated with the way he's playing. He's frustrated with his team. I think he's got a lot of frustration. But I just want to go tell Gunnar Henderson I want to grab him by the cheeks like Mike Flanagan grabbed me many, many years ago. And he just simply said, try easier. And I didn't know what that meant. I was 23 years old, and Mike Flanagan grabs me by the face, and he goes, then I need you to try easier. You're trying too hard right now. You care too much right now. And I was like, Flanny, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means. When I get in trouble, I try harder. He said, that's your problem. You're trying too hard. He said, just let your ability take over. Try to relax a little bit and go have fun playing the game of baseball. Well, you know what? It took me a little time to figure that out. I just want to grab Gunnar right now and say, Gunnar, I need you to try easier, buddy. We love you. We have all the confidence in the world in you, but you're trying too hard right now. Go play this game that you love and play it in a way that you love the game of baseball and enjoy it. And I think Gunnar can turn this thing around. I really do. But I believe in him. I think he's an elite player. I think he's a franchise player. And I'm going to stick behind him the whole way because I think Gunnar can be a big part of the success. And I think the Orioles are going to go according to him. And, of course, good to get Adley Rutschman back and Rush doing his thing last night coming up. And so, look, there's some pieces to work with the Orioles for sure. But there's a lot of phases of the game, in my opinion, the defense, the offense, and, of course, the pitching has to get cleaned up a little bit.
Ben McDonald is with us. Ben, as you allude to, you don't think that he should be dropped down. But is the leadoff spot right? Like, is that the thing that unlocks him?
Well, I think, sometimes managers do this at every level. Sometimes to get the offense going a little bit, there has to be a shakeup. And you shake some things up, you move some pieces around. Whether you think it's the right move or not, you shake things up a little bit. And I'll just take you back to the last 13 games. I mean, the Orioles are only, scoring 3.9 runs per game in the last 13 games. The offense has not been great. It's not been the offense that you hope that you were going to get. So I think in a lot of ways, Craig Alvarez is just trying to shake things up a little bit and move some guys around. And sometimes that pays off. And look, it paid off for Gunnar last night. Like, as you mentioned, he got a couple of base hits last night. He walked as well. So 4 plate appearances. He was on base 3 out of 4 times. So it worked last night for sure.
Ben, you mentioned the deadline, and it's such an interesting conversation the Orioles are grappling with and the fan base is grappling with. And, as you point out, Mike Elias says the other day that, hey, if this is the spot we're in, we're going to go for it. And I certainly get that. I have been convinced that if you're going to be aggressive, you're going to be aggressive for pitching and, preferably controllable pitching, because I don't know how this season goes, but there's only so much of that. You bring up their offensive struggles. Is there a bat profile that you feel like could still, another outfielder to throw into the mix? Obviously right now, the way Colton Cowser's playing defensively, you do not want him out of the lineup, but is there an ideal way to add to maybe jumpstart this offense a little bit?
I think there is. I think it has to be the right piece to add to that. Now, what is that piece, right? I mean, some people have been talking about, well, the Orioles really need a third baseman. They need an everyday third baseman, too. They need a guy that's been there and done that before over at third base. He can bring some offense consistency to this thing, too. We know Kobe Mayo is great against left-handers, really struggles against right-handers. Blaze Alexander's playing more than he's ever played in his career. This bat's been unbelievable the last month. He's kicked the ball around like he did last night a couple of times, which isn't like him. But, look, it's tough as a utility player when you're bouncing 3 or 4 different positions to be as consistent as you want to be. But I think if I know Mike Elias, I think he's looking at all phases. I think he's looking at a left-handed reliever, potentially another reliever back there. I think he's looking at a starter, and I do think he's looking at ways to bluster the offense a little bit and get it going. And whether that's a third baseman, an outfielder, whatever it could be, I think all doors are open right now, to be honest with you, to whatever he feels like can best suit this team to kind of get it kickstarted a little bit. I still think this offense is better than what it's performing. I still think it has a chance to get going. And so for me, I'm looking at the back end of the bullpen, to be honest with you. I think another left-handed reliever back there, a situational lefty would be big. And I'm also kind of looking at a starting pitcher with controllable options, with controllable years as well, And so I think that's out there too, But on the flip side of things, if this thing gets sideways, you could see some guys get moved for the Orioles too. And you'd hate to see that, but I mean, that's the reality of of not playing well and not performing well when you get down to the trade deadline.
Boy, Ben, that one is the one that I feel like people have been talking about the most, and the name that keeps getting thrown out is Adley Rutschman, right? And it's a tough conversation because nobody wants Adley Rutschman to be traded. Like, nobody's rooting for that. But, you know, he is a year away from free agency, and who knows where he and his team are, and if they're saying, hey, we love you, but we're going to go to the market, and if that's the case, are the Orioles in a spot where they have to maximize an asset value? And those types of phrases are not, boy, it sounds so antithetical to what we want baseball to be, but it's just the reality of what you're faced with as an organization. What do you do when it comes to Adley Rutschman?
That's a great question. And I know that name's been thrown up a lot. I've heard the same. And Mike Elias, and you heard it like I did, came out and he quickly said, "No way."
Of course, we want him to be
part of this.
It takes two to tango, right? Like, that's the way it works.
Right. That's right. And I get it. Adley's 1 year away, and put it like this. I don't think anybody's safe, but I think the offer would have to absolutely knock the socks off of Mike Elias to do something like that. But I still don't think that gets done. I think more likely, you're looking at Taylor Ward if this thing goes south, potentially Trevor Rogers, which I'd hate to see Trevor Rogers go too. I really would. But I think that would be your best two trade chips would be, Trevor Rogers if you don't have intentions of signing him back. And, of course, Taylor Ward if you don't have intentions of signing him back. I just don't feel like it's the time with Adley Rutschman. Even if this thing goes sideways a little bit more, I just don't think Adley's going anywhere. Now, a year from now, and you try this offseason to lock him up, and it doesn't happen, and a year from now you're in the same situation, absolutely, I could see that happening. I could see it happening. But, look, we all love Adley Rutschman. He's been a huge part of this. We know what the record is with Adley Rutschman. Ever since he put a big league uniform on here in Baltimore, he's been a difference maker. He's one of the fan favorites, and we want him to spend the next 7 or 8 years of his career right here in Baltimore. But as you mentioned, this is the business side of baseball that kind of gets ugly from time to time. This is where, fan bases get their hearts ripped out because some of their players they grow up watching and they come to their towns as rookies and they're 22 or 23 years old, and all of a sudden they're gone after 5 or 6 years. But that's the reality of this game and where it is right now. So you love the fan side of things, and we want players, but you also understand the business side of this game, and sometimes the business side of this game is ugly.
That is the reality. All right, Ben McDonald, last Friday I was on your Twitter, and I saw make sure this is your mom who was cooking, correct?
Correct.
Now, you said, thank gosh no chicken feet this time, and I'm looking at the pot that you posted.
Oh yeah, that was my mother-in-law.
Okay.
That was my mother. Now my mom cooks a lot too. And I put videos, but
I know you put a lot of videos.
Yeah. My mother-in-law is different though. She comes from real Cajun down there around Lafayette, Louisiana, around Ron Guidry country down there. And when I tell you those folks down there, they don't waste nothing. They don't waste anything. So when they cook chicken, they cook in every part of the chicken. And so I was teasing her because a few years ago, I went back for seconds. She made this big chicken stew, man. And look, a woman can cook. My wife's dad never spoke a word of English until he was in 7th grade, all French. And his mom, my wife's grandmother, never spoke a word of English, all French. Cajun French is what they spoke. And so they're real Cajun people. But anyway, they know how to cook. But several years ago, Margaret made this great chicken stew. And I went back for seconds, and I dug deep into that pot with a big old spoon. And there comes a chicken foot that was the size of my hand. I instantly lost my appetite. And I talk about instantly lost my appetite.
Everything about Cajun food makes me happy. Everything, like if you just did for the rest of your life posting videos of Louisiana cooking, I would be your #1 subscriber. I would pay you to do this, Ben McDonald. It's been my dream. I want to come spend Thanksgiving with you at some point in my life. But
you need to come down because the folks are between my mom. I'm so fortunate between my mom and my mother-in-law, of course, my wife, who learned from both of them. The crawfish étouffées, the crawfish bisque, the chicken stews, look, it doesn't get any better than what it is right there. And people say, well, how do you stay so skinny with all that food down there? And I said, honestly, when I know my mom is cooking dinner or my mother-in-law, I don't even eat during the day. I skip breakfast, I skip lunch, and I only eat dinner. That's the only way, because if I ate every meal, I'd weigh 400 pounds. I'm just telling you.
But I have experienced chicken feet, and I'm going to have to join you on this one. I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass on that part of the pot.
I hollered at my mother-in-law. I said, Margaret, what is this in the pot? She said, it's chicken feet, son. You can have as many as you want. I said, no, ma'am. I'm going to save them all for you.
Yeah, correct. You go ahead and enjoy. At Real Ben McDonald, of course, is how you follow him. Can I get it from you one more time? A soon-to-be welcome to the month of...
Let me tell you this. I hope the Orioles get going, and if they do, it's going to happen in the wonderful month of July.
Ben McDonald, you're the best, brother. Always appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Anytime. Take care of yourself.
Great stuff with Ben. Appreciate him doing that. Today's show also brought to you by CountySports.zone. Everything you need to know about high school sports here in the state of Maryland, you can find at CountySports.zone. It's proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Keith Mills is in studio with us. My friend Brian Powell asked a request because he says he was wondering if you would tell a story or share a thought about the life of John Brady.
John Brady, the basketball coach? Yeah. Oh, man, John Brady was one of my mentors. Those that don't know, John was the longtime basketball coach at Annapolis High School, but started out as the JV coach at Old Andover High School, which is now North County High School, merged with my old high school, Brooklyn Park. And I was playing in a summer league that he ran over there, and this is 1974. I got out of high school in 75. And John just was a basketball savant and taught me not just how to play the game, but how to really understand the game, and became a great friend, great mentor. I think he is the second around the state of Maryland. Butch Waller from Wycomico High School is the all-time public school record holder in wins. I think John is second, pushing like 1,000. But, man, he had tremendous talent in Annapolis High School. A couple guys that he coached, Keith Colbert, went on to the NBA, and dozens and dozens of, went to play college basketball. Unfortunately, John passed a couple weeks ago, and went to Mount St. Joe grad. Played for Gene Nieberline, and just as good a basketball mind in terms of high school sports around here that's ever come across, that's ever passed our way.
There you go. Appreciate you sharing that, Keith. Real quick, before we're going to do Tidbit and Tubular, and still to come today, Jim Bowden. We're going to chat with him about what the Orioles do at the deadline. Seemingly pretty significant news from Shams this morning, as LeBron James has apparently... he's coming to D.C.
He's going to Washington.
He's coming to D.C.
Going to Washington.
According to Shams, LeBron James will continue his NBA career for the 2026-2027 season.
Yes.
He's informed the Lakers that the franchise...
His son coming with him?
said the franchise can move on without him because he will play elsewhere. His agent, Rich Paul, told ESPN.
Yeah, I think the Lakers will survive.
Luka was obviously going to be the focal point moving forward for the Lakers. This is obviously all the rumblings have been about what the Warriors are looking to do. Apparently, the Kristaps thing is going to make that more difficult. The fact that he ended up re-signing with Golden State. I don't know who this person is, but that's maybe my new favorite image. Like, somebody shared out, like, look at this big four with Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. And then somebody else AI generated a more appropriate version of that big four, in which three of them are in basketball uniforms, and Anthony Davis, of course, is in street clothes, which is what he'll be doing.
Which we have come to expect.
Wherever he plays next year.
He's got a good show on TV, though, doesn't he?
I've never watched
it's
that
kind of
show.
funny, yeah.
All right, I believe
guests.
you. I've never watched it.
It's like a prank show? Or
Yeah,
it's like a prank show.
The other one that people thought was in play was Miami. A lot of people thought that maybe the idea of joining Giannis and Bam in Miami, going back there where he had been before. And then, of course, there's still the Cleveland thing where they're kind of on the doorstep. And who knows? Maybe even this minimal version of LeBron at this point could help them get over the hump. I mean, obviously, there's no way he could be worse than James Harden was in the playoffs. So we'll see if this just means it's fait accompli. He's going to join Steph Curry. They have, of course, been very close for a long time, and so there's been this thought that maybe they'd want to play together to end their careers. I don't know that matters. I don't think that this version of LeBron can make that Warriors group a title contender. I think it's got to be a team that would have to be a whole lot closer. Cleveland is a lot closer, so like that, I guess, would be interesting.
The Wizards certainly aren't.
This is Griffin.
We are close.
Griffin.
We have AJ
DeBoss.
I grew up with the Bullets. I mean, I love them, but man, it's a struggle.
That makes one.
You know,
not a fan.
Maybe Bradley Beal will come back.
It's interesting.
He did opt out, didn't he?
He did.
Bradley Beal. We were talking about Bradley Beal. John, a buddy of mine and I, lives down in Florida. Was basketball coach at Severn School for a long time. We were talking about the Wall, Bradley Beal days, and Gilbert Arenas and all those guys that came through there.
The salad days.
I was impressed with John Wall, though.
Yeah.
They had their training camp at Towson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did a practice. Yeah.
And I was really impressed with him. He worked his butt off, hardest working guy on the team, best player, and also was very, very helpful to a lot of younger guys. And I was just
he's been good on TV too.
impressed.
I feel like he's been on that. He's been
actually he sat in on NCAA tournament coverage this past year, and he was actually quite good.
Yeah.
What do they call the thing where they like watch all the games? They have like Tony Delk and Randolph Childress and somebody else.
Is it the Fast Break or whatever?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I popped on that, and he like sat in for an entire session of games one night, and he was really good doing that. Like really had a lot to offer there, and I was intrigued. All right, let's get a tidbit. Let's get tubular, and then let's get to Africa. That's where I'm at.
Out of Africa or in Africa?
I'm going Africa.
Oh my goodness, man! I'll tell you what.
More excitement out of you. Come on.
That's intriguing.
Get back to. I will look forward to discussing the trip.
It's funny because you see on social media tons of pictures or tons of videos from the Serengeti.
Yes.
I'm
going to be there,
and I'm thinking. And the pack of lions go by, and there's people in the truck and whatever, and they're taking video, and I'm like, I could never do that. And the fact that you are doing
doing it.
I don't know anyone that's ever done that but you.
From Nat Geo Glenn.
I haven't done it yet. There's still a chance it gets ruined before then. But that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be sleeping in the desert in Tanzania.
I like going to the zoo, but I like the fact that they're all behind
in the Serengeti.
Control.
That's going to be by the way, someone who did this trip once, I don't remember where we were this weekend, but we were talking about it, and somebody who's been on this, like done this before, was like, "Oh yeah, I did that. I slept in the Serengeti." It was kind of crazy. One night, all of a sudden, they were like blaring horns and waking us up in the middle of the night, and it was because they had to evacuate us so an elephant stampede could come through.
Oh my God!
So you'll
cool.
You'll be right on the
You can't make
equator.
that up. That's got to be the first chapter in the book. The elephant stampede.
Look forward to
during our trip to the
being
Serengeti.
woken up in the middle of the night to let the elephants make their way through.
What you got to do is you have to call Brian Neiman and Clarence Mitchell IV, C4, in the morning. Of course, I don't know. It would be like 1 in the
8
morning
hours
your
later,
time.
yeah, right.
And check in from the Serengeti. I'm serious. I'm going to call Chris Carlheim. Well, you've told Chris where you're going, right?
Yeah, they know. They know where I'm going to be. It's
Get Glenn to weigh in on the election while out in Tanzania.
Right. My thoughts on
the
special
You'll do a straw
session
poll
that's
from
being-
everybody in the Serengeti as to what they think
What do
of
you guys
the
think about Westmore
political
Dan Cox,
landscape.
huh? How you guys feeling about that one?
By the way, Griffin, I don't know. I could never do what he does in regards to the political talk.
Yeah. Neither could I.
Well said and well done. I tip my hat to you.
Every day I go in, I'm like, what?
I'd be fired in 30 seconds if I did that.
Well, it's like doing the show with Brian, like that's easy, right? Like Brian's a pro, he knows all this, like, and I get to play off of him. When I'm filling in for like TJ or Angela,
By yourself?
it's
Yeah.
4
That's
hours
tough,
by
man.
myself, man. I am, like, I don't, you know this. They call you up to do Orioles pregame. They're like, hey, it's gonna be this time is gonna be an hour and a half. You're like, no problem.
Piece of cake.
I'm Keith Mills. Like,
yeah, man.
we can talk about Larry Sheets for 15. Like, Keith and I did draft coverage this year. At some point, we just started naming old Jets offensive
classic.
linemen. Like,
This classic.
When you're doing 4 hours of political talk, I'm like, I need you to send me every possible piece of sound, every possible. I need you to over prepare me, and then I feel bad for the poor producers because we only get to like 20% of what it is they prepped. But I need them to over prepare me for hosting those shows.
But you wouldn't know it, man. You're seamless in that transition from
That's
sports to
very
politics.
sweet.
The cultural.
It's wild, man. It's wild. A number of texts I get like, did I just hear you talking about like Iran on WBAL? I'm like, yes, that's
not
me.
related to the World Cup.
That's me.
It just drafted.
Oh, we haven't even talked.
They
the
drafted
soccer.
a place kicker.
Oh,
I think they drafted a kicker from Iran, didn't they? That's,
that's the reason why we're discussing it. What a day of soccer yesterday. Jeez. I mean, it was just unreal. 3 incredible matches. Pure and bonkers results, obviously, with Germany losing to Paraguay.
How about that?
All 4 of just
completely
again, delivered.
Yeah. Yeah, the knockout round's been incredible.
I was out last night in a place down in Severna Park watching the Orioles and the World Cup, and when the Germany game penalty kick phase came in, which I'm not a fan of. I think you ought to just play until if it takes 10 hours.
So
it
someone
takes 10
dies
hours.
until they're dying
win
on
the
the
game
pitch.
that way. But you know what? Everybody in it was JB's sports bar.
Okay, yeah, I know JB's.
And I mean, everybody was glued to that that process.
Keith, I played
except me. I'm like, I want to see
the
play.
Orioles.
Get the 11 guys back out there.
The Germany penalty kicks were particularly
horrendous.
They were particularly compelling because remember.
How about the last one?
Well, right.
They missed the first.
But they were down to the point where like if they had missed in any of the last 3 rounds, if they had missed or Paraguay had scored, they were going to be eliminated.
Yeah.
And then Paraguay miss, Germany make, and you're like, well,
it's over.
It's over. You screwed Paraguay. You screwed your chance.
Let them
you
off the
had
hook.
your opportunity. You absolutely botched it, and then they ended up. I mean, it was.
And then I don't know who it was for Germany. That you know what though, that would the last Germany kick that went into the stands.
Oh yeah.
That would have been good in Pittsburgh last year.
They could have used him.
I said that to my wife. I said,
used him.
man, I wish he was in Pittsburgh last January.
Tell DeCosta, give him a call.
And
mean,
then
how do you?
Dude, the Morocco equalizer is one of the wildest goals I've ever seen. With 90 minutes. It's about to be over.
At the death.
And I love it when they say at the death. And out of nowhere. There was no build-up for that. It was just a cross for the sake of a cross. Holy S, what a goal. And Morocco beats the Netherlands. Incredible day of soccer.
Yeah, it's been a great tournament, man.
Yeah, it's been spectacular.
I mean,
the
fact that the fans that have come from other countries have been raving about what they're seeing here is good.
It's been a really good summer. It's been a really good summer, and it gives you those like, you do love that. You do love the fact that like they think we're gracious hosts.
Yeah. You gonna be able to watch a U.S. game tomorrow on a plane?
There's been allegedly they have streaming on this flight.
Okay.
Allegedly. So
I'm sure they do.
I hope that means they have American because we're flying Air France. I hope that, or I assume there's some network in France that we just watch it in French.
My wife,
my older son is very concerned about this.
I'm sure
he's hooked right now.
I'm sure
he is.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah,
he's hooked. He's loving everything about it. My wife took him to. He's a big Messi fan. He was very young the last World Cup. How many?
4 years.
Yeah, so he would have been 7 at that point, and. Like it was during football season.
Right. The games were at 2 a.m.
Yeah, but he was hooked. Like he was and he decided he was a Messi guy. So we got him a Messi jersey for Christmas, the whole thing. My wife took him when Messi played at M&T Bank Stadium earlier this year.
Oh yeah.
My wife took him. Like they had an amazing time. So he's all in. But it's US first, Messi second. So he has been every moment. He's been like, "Dad, you sure we're going to be able to watch the match on the plane?" I'm like, "Buddy, I think we're going to be able to watch the match on the plane. I think if they win, I don't think there's any chance in hell that we're going to be able to watch the next one.
That might be
When's
tough.
Argentina
I don't
play?
think that
Not a whole lot of.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
He's not going to be able to watch the Argentina game again.
I haven't even looked.
You and the King of the Pride will be sitting,
100%,
sitting
right?
under the palm tree in the Serengeti.
Sorry, we can't go out and see the Lions today.
Friday at 6 o'clock, so probably midnight, 1 a.m. your time?
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, now, my wife owns a business that provides, hotel rooms for club sports. It's based in Louisville called Team Travel Source. And her co-owner and their management team all went to Paris Olympics last year on Air France and said it was unbelievable.
That's really cool.
So it was better than being at home.
What all did she get to go to?
They had all
the
kind of
Olympics?
toys,
What all
man.
did she get to
They went to volleyball. Their biggest client.
Oh man,
their USA Volleyball is their big client.
Oh,
they went to
so
volleyball.
cool.
They went to see. They went to water polo, volleyball, swimming, and one basketball.
They go to
game.
beach volleyball.
They went to beach volleyball
That's
and regular volleyball.
Awesome. That There was that image of beach volleyball out in front of the Eiffel Tower. It was just so cool, man. Like I don't think that can be replicated in LA. I don't think there's any like way to make that look the same. But my son and I have been talking about the possibility of us finding a way to get out there. He was very disappointed we didn't go to any of the World Cup. I mean, the ticket prices were just so outrageous.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But like some events at the Olympics are not outrageously priced. Like you can go to a field hockey game or something like that at the Olympics and say that you're at the Olympics. So we've been discussing that possibility. He also thinks I have all the hookups in lacrosse. He's like, Dad, you work for USA. You work for USA Lacrosse. You can't get a hookup
you do
for
have
lacrosse.
All the hookups for
like, I don't think that they have any power. This is the Olympics. Like, I don't think that they have. And by the way, I think I'll be very low.
They should
on
make
the
you
list.
the coach.
I think there's
probably.
a lot of people. I don't think I'm going to compete with like.
right.
Yeah.
Put him on a.
Yeah. I don't think John. They're like, well, we have requests for tickets. One's from John Danowski, the other's from Glenn Clark. Boy, really 50-50 there. Like,
John Danowski's old news, man.
Yeah,
he's worn out his welcome.
I just don't think I'm gonna get.
Is he still Duke?
He's still.
John? Good guy though, man.
Great guy.
John is one of the best.
I just realized did he? He's still a Duke, isn't he?
The famous video. This is about 10 years old now, where he's telling all the elite kids about how bad they are in the first team meeting.
I have never. I don't know this.
It was. It's been a long time. This is when, he was addressing the parental situation with somebody asked him, hey, how do you deal with parents? He goes, I don't.
That is good. That's good. All right. Hey, a little bit later on today, Stan the Fan Charles, Luke Jackson, and Ross Grimsley are going to be talking baseball with you. That's coming up at 3:30 this afternoon. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. As always, Stan Show is brought to you by Warnken Law and the Costas Inn with 2 great locations, Timonium and Dundalk. Tidbit?
Otto Virtanen
is
the first Finn to ever defeat a top 5 seed
at
a major.
Yeah.
Ben Shelton just went down.
Why do I know that?
Is that right?
Yeah,
Ben Shelton just went down at Wimbledon in the first round. It was the
top 5 seed.
As the 4th ranked man in the tournament, and Otto Virtanen, the first Finn to ever get a win.
I love the major tennis tournaments, and back in the day, again, I'm showing my age. McEnroe, Connors, Borg. I mean, that was must see TV, and Alcaraz. And Sinner, they got a good rivalry. But I tuned in the other day. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah. Well, Serena's playing short.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. women. I know a couple of them, but I don't know anybody else.
I get it. It's tough right now. It's tough. Maryland's own Francis Tiafoe playing today as well. Yeah.
I had a chance to talk to him years ago when he made his good run. Good guy, man.
He's playing coming up. We'll get that in tubular. Anyway, go ahead.
Yesterday, how did you celebrate Max Muncy Day?
All right, because Max Muncy against Max Muncy with the Dodgers in the Athletics.
Both drafted by the A's, both born on August 25th, and both were batting 7th and both playing third base yesterday.
Isn't who was the who?
That's incredible.
Yeah,
who was it that?
Credit Sarah Langs for.
There was 2 players that had the exact same name and they looked exactly alike. We talked about Brady Feigl.
Oh yeah,
Brady
the
Feigl.
minors. The minors. They were both.
Do you remember
named
the story?
Brady Feigl.
Yeah,
and they both were like redheads with bushy beards
I'm
and
telling
goggles.
You, right?
Yes.
2 guys, the exact same name. This is keep. They have the exact same name, and that's what they look like. That's 2 different human beings, both named.
Man,
Brady
that's
Feigl.
scary.
They've
got to have the same DNA.
And weren't they
somewhere.
both pitchers?
Yeah. Was it they were both pitchers?
I know one of them was definitely a pitcher. I don't
they
remember.
probably have a great grandfather from Tanzania.
100%. Yeah,
right.
right.
On tomorrow, and that's the link.
One of them was from here, right? Wasn't one of them from one of the Brady Feigls was from Anne Arundel County, I think.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Oh, I gotta get to the bottom of this. I got to the bottom of this.
Feigl.
Brady Feigl, who
Old
pitched
Mill?
for the Pirates,
Good Old Mill.
was from Severn.
Oh. Wow.
I think he went to Old Mill.
He might have gone to
he did.
Mill.
Old Mill.
There you go. Yep,
Old Mill.
he did. He went to Old Mill, 100%.
Which Brady Feigl though? Which
the old.
Which one's the real Brady Feigl?
The real.
Who's
better?
This is the 3rd time that a player with the same name has started at the same position and in the same spot in the batting order in a game.
Stop it. Stop
it. The 3rd time it's
There's
happened.
The managers had to
chance
get together and say this is what we're
no
going to
chance.
do.
But he wants us to try to think of who the others were.
Who's the other Max?
Well,
Muncy play for?
Will Smith, no, because
the
one was a
Athletics.
pitcher and
One
one
for
was
the
a
A's.
catcher.
Oh, for the A's.
So it's not Will
Nope,
Smith.
not the Will Smiths. It was a June series in 2000 between the Blue Jays and the Florida Marlins.
Alex Gonzalez.
Alex Gonzalez.
There you go.
Then in 1999, the year before, between the Mets and the Rockies on May 11th, 1999, you had this player.
The Mets and the Rockies.
Yes.
In 1999.
He was because he was a pitcher. He had the pitcher of the same name batting ninth.
Two pitchers with the same name.
Yes.
1999.
Can't help you.
Mets and the Rockies.
It's gonna drive me nuts because I know when you say it, I'm gonna be like, were they Latin?
No, they weren't.
They were not Latin.
Yeah, pretty Americanized name. Pretty American name.
John Smith.
Close. You're gonna. It's like just a generic first name, last name.
I got
Bobby Jones.
I do remember. I remember one of them. I don't remember the
Bobby
Rockies.
Jones was pitching for both the Mets and the Rockies,
and golfing and out
basketball. Good basketball.
And then even funnier, obviously Mark Kotsay managing the A's now. He was on the Marlins in both those series in the two games where Alex Gonzalez.
That's a good get.
Mark Kotsay been
How
around.
about that?
All right. Also, then finally yesterday as well, Bryce Harper blasted his 20th home run of the season, his 12th season with 20 bombs.
Ooh.
Since 2000, only 3 men have had more seasons of 20 home runs.
Pujols.
Pujols.
Yeah, that's a good one.
18 seasons with 20 home runs.
Damn.
Miguel Cabrera.
No Miggy. Miggy is tied with 12. Not more.
How about
There's like 10 guys who have 12.
How about Nelson Cruz?
Also 12.
Good call.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, just a bad guess.
Since 2000?
Yes.
Damn.
Ortiz.
David Ortiz, 15
Good call.
seasons with 20 home runs.
And Giancarlo Stanton.
14 seasons for Giancarlo Stanton.
Woo!
Good job. Good get there.
You want to name all the other guys with 12?
No,
Okay.
I don't want to do
fine,
that.
fair.
I would rather not. Oh, you want to say congratulations?
Not really.
I will. Congratulations.
Oh,
Thank
come
you,
on.
Keith.
For what?
Monday Night Trivia winners last night.
Oh, there we go.
Back at it.
Oh, I bet you guys
There
killed
was
that.
there was an
where is
American.
it?
We play at Cooper's in
Oh, do you?
in Cockeysville, Timonium,
That's
that
cool.
area. And last night we clean up. We actually were World Series champions. I don't know if
World.
This is you and your wife?
No, this is some buddies of mine.
I was going to say you
Yeah.
guys compete together. You
Yeah,
probably
right.
have a short marriage.
Last night, the final was very nervy for me. Keith will know this in a heartbeat, so you got to let Griffin try to guess first.
I'm not going to get it then.
Very nervy for me because it was a sports final, and of course, when that happens, like they
Sure.
just say,
Oh,
we
yeah,
got
you-
this,"
yeah.
right? It's in the bag. Randy Moffett, despite having a 12-year Major League Baseball career from 1972 to 1983 with the Giants, Astros, and Blue Jays, is more known for being the younger brother of what 1972 Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year and social justice activist? I assume you know.
I know.
Let Griffin.
I mean, I can just say like the name.
1972 Sports Illustrated
I'm not
Sports
gonna get
Person
this.
of the Year and social justice activist.
His name was Randy Moffett.
The brother is named Randy Moffett.
Moffett. Okay. I don't know any other Moffats. I was gonna say Alex, but that was the guy who was on like SNL for a season.
That's true. There was an Alex Moffett on SNL. That's a good.
That's a better
good
hit
call.
than knowing that
good
one
call.
right there.
It's not Alex Moffett.
It's not Alex Moffett. No, was not in
Was his
1972.
name was also something Moffett.
But you don't have a guess of a 1972 Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year and social justice
Yeah,
activist?
right. I mean, Carl Lewis.
Okay, all right. I mean,
I
that's
don't think
not
it
nothing.
doesn't sound like he'd be related to Randy Moffett though. So
By the way, this is how dumb I am. When I only read the second part of the question first. I'm like, 1972 Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year and social justice activist. And so the first thing I said out loud was, "Oh, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar," because I didn't really read the first part of the
Randy
question.
part.
So then somebody at the table was like, "Well, what was his name?" I'm like, Lou Alcindor. And then I looked at him like, "Oh, it's probably not him. Probably not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar." Then someone else at the table was like, "Could it be Muhammad Ali?" I'm like, no, that was Cassius Clay.
Yeah. That's
and
the
it
first thing came to
finally
mind.
struck me, like, whose name might have been Moffett and then changed, like, for example, say, a married name. Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King was how I got there. Yeah.
Good get.
We did end up. We were victorious at trivia last night.
I was there right there.
You were right there. You were right there. You were definitely.
I was about to say Billie Jean.
Yeah, you said Carl Lewis, so very similar.
The Michael Jackson Billie Jean is
yes, exactly right.
That's what I would have got.
I was going to get there.
Anyway,
let's get tubular.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
Here's what's coming up tubular-wise. Orioles try again to get back in the win column. I'll be there. Keith Mills will be there.
Be there.
It's going to be a celebrity night at the ballpark.
It's pickleball night, right? Is that
It's pickleball night. It's running night. It's
I
get the kids away from the house so my wife can put the finishing touches on the trip night.
Hey, the Orioles had a stolen base last night, Colton Cowser.
That's right, and he had a
Good
very
base
nice
runner.
defensive
He
play.
did. He did.
He is now definitively a plus center fielder, I would argue, which was
Good thing he saved that one run.
Yeah.
He's working. He's working at it. I know that.
MASN, Eric Fetty, and Trey Gibson, the pitching matchup, 6:35. World Cup scheduled today on Fox. Ivory Coast, Norway at 1. France, Sweden at 5. Mexico, Ecuador at 9 o'clock. Wimbledon on ESPN. Still to come, Serena Williams in action, and Francis Tiafoe will be in action as well. Anything non-sports-wise?
Love Island.
Yes,
Peacock.
with Tino Ellis, former Maryland cornerback.
I assume he's still hanging around.
Oh,
I don't know if he got voted off the island.
I haven't watched the show.
Love Island is called?
Yeah, Love Island.
Yeah,
Love
it's a
Island.
very popular.
It's
really
extremely
very
popular.
I don't watch too much TV.
Yeah, it's not.
America's Got Talent. That's CBS has the Presidential 1776 Award. Show.
I don't know
or
what any of that
competition.
means.
The national final brings top high school civic students to the White House to compete for.
We like civics.
$250,000 in
Good
scholarships.
for civics.
Testing their knowledge on the Constitution.
All right.
And other
Another show to show how stupid I was in school.
Right.
And am now.
Yeah, these
like
kids
the,
definitely.
Like the spelling
these
bee,
kids
man.
definitely are smarter
the
now.
Spelling bee.
Than
What
I
is
am.
spelling bee?
Yeah. Oh God.
My
You're like,
God.
I've never even heard of these words. Never heard of them. But they know how to spell them. All right. Very good. Keith Mills.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
Oh man,
great to
pleasure.
see you,
Griffin. Thank you, sir.
Are you back on BAL anytime?
I'm not back until I think we're doing a training camp special.
Excellent. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
I look forward to that.
I love working with him, Griffin. It is a pleasure.
That makes one of us.
Time. Keith and I do a show. I wake up. I'm like, did we ever do the show? Like, did we ever? We just started chatting. Like, did we ever actually do a show? It's great. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
My pleasure, man. Anytime.
Thanks to Marlowe Wax. Thanks to Ben McDonald and to Jim Bowden, who you're about to hear from. We'll get them up in the greatest hits section of the
rerun of Seth Meyers. He had Pedro Pascal and Billy Eichner.
No, I don't think I would go
There's
to
a
that
Louis
tour.
C.K. Comedy special on Netflix.
No,
I don't know if that's still allowed.
Yeah. Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. We will be off for the next couple of weeks. We will be back on July 14th. That will be the next time we will be here. We look forward to that. In the meantime, I know there will be a bat around this Sunday with Paul and Zach. And Griffin will be tracking man of the match on socials.
That's right. Hopefully they win, I don't know, once or twice.
And Griffin tells me he's going to be posting some.
What if they rip off like 9 in a row with him?
We already said if they go on a losing streak or a win streak, we will not come
What
back.
if they don't win a game before?
Then we have to come back.
Okay, then we have to.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But if they go on like a win streak while we're gone, we will not.
There
We
you
will
go.
stay away. We will not mess with the juju, man. Like that's a promise. But we'll also be sharing out some video content as well on social while we're gone. So you can check that out at Glenn Clark Radio. Thanks to everybody at Pressbox, all of our great sponsors and partners. Live Casino and Hotel, Baltimore Orioles, Merriweather Post Pavilion, Costas Inn, your Baltimore area High's Dairy Stores, Leading Edge Auto Body, Warnken Law, 1-800-GAMBLER, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, Cruise Maryland, CountySports.zone, the Maryland Department of Health, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass is how you follow him. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great next couple of weeks. Happy 4th of July and happy birthday, America. When we come back in, you'll hear from Jim Bowden, former MLB GM. His thoughts on what the Orioles do at the deadline might actually surprise you. That's next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
The stars are shining brighter at Live Casino this summer. Celebrate America's 250th with $1 million. Earn entries daily July 1st through August 29th and snap a pic with our game board for a chance to win $100 in free play every week. We'll draw 50 free play winners each Saturday and $1 million winner on August 29th. Light it up at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Dave LaMonaco profiles Orioles play-by-play voice Kevin Brown, looking at his rise as an amiable mainstay and one of the top voices in all of baseball. Also inside, Antonio Barbera looks at whether the championship window is narrowing for the Ravens veteran core, and our special travel section with a look at sports tourism options throughout Maryland for you and your family to enjoy this summer. Press Box is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
We're joined now here on GCR by someone who's going to try to help us make sense of what the Orioles maybe look like and do over the course of the next month. He's a former MLB GM. You know him from SiriusXM and The Athletic and CBS and Foul Territory, and I think that's the list. He's Jim Bowden, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Jim, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you as always. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Always great to be back with you. Appreciate you having me on.
Jim, can we start just generically? How do you make sense of where the Orioles find themselves just a couple of years removed from being, tops in baseball, being the team that everybody wanted with the young core of players and new ownership and everything looking like it was going to come up Orioles? How do you make sense of where they sit now here in 2026?
Yeah, I think it's very easy to just kind of address it based on where you are in the games behind column. That's what really matters. And, half of the season is now behind us here in 2026. And the Orioles are just a few games out in the wild card race. And so, yes, it's a losing record, but it's only a few games out in a league that is filled with parity right now at this point, where we only have a handful of teams that actually have winning records. So that's kind of who they are. They still have a really good core of players, some of which, or many of which, have been underachieving based on what our expectations were of them, certainly. But I think the standings stay where you are, and that's what it is. And that means you still are in striking distance of a playoff berth. And we'll see what the GM Mike Elias can do between now and August 3rd to get this team to the playoffs.
Do you believe that this team still has enough that it's you bring up, obviously they're in the mix. Basically everyone in the American League is in the mix. Did they have enough that they can make noise? They can still do it if they make a couple of good moves.
I definitely think that they can. You know, I look at it. I don't know why Taylor Ward didn't hit for more power so far this season. You know, that's been a big disappointment after watching the power he showed last year with the Angels. You know, Gunnar Henderson's, not living up to what we all expect from him. The rookie Sam Basayo has hit for power, but probably not reaching base like we thought he would. Adley Rutschman has been a disappointment and injured on the IL. Colton Cowser's not lived up to what he is. Neither is Kobe Mayo. Look, Jackson Holliday, same thing. I mean, these players are better than what we've seen. So I tend to think that, it will correct itself in the second half of the season offensively. And then on the pitching side, it's kind of been encouraging, really, when you look at what Kyle Bradish, Shane Vaz, Trevor Rogers, and Brandon Young have all done their last 5 or 6 starts. I mean, all of them have kept the O's in games, and that's the key. And you've got Mike Elias, the GM, that's banging the phones for starting pitching, and we can sit there and say, well, yeah, but everybody is. Well, everybody's not, actually. I talked to all 30 front offices, and only 8 of the 30 are actually chasing starting pitching right now as their biggest need. So it's not like normal years here. There's a lot of teams out there that are okay piecing by and are focusing on the bullpen and rather than that starting market. So, Baltimore does have a pathway to get there. I do worry also about the bullpen. That's just my own personal view, but I'm always going to be that way when it comes to bullpens, but I'd love to see them go get another arm back there as well. Pitching. But I'm telling you, as far as the lineup goes, I'm very disappointed in production. I'm not disappointed in ceiling.
Jim Bowden with us here on GCR. Jim, I want to have a conversation with you because I know you've talked about it. And when I bring it up, there's Orioles fans that say, how dare you even discuss it? And I think it's a complicated conversation, which is where the Orioles find themselves with Adley Rutschman. And the way that I've best attempted to define it is, I don't want the Orioles to trade Adley Rutschman. That's not something that I would like them to do. But I do think that they're faced with a reality of whether they need to know whether or not Adley Rutschman and his camp are willing to talking about an extension, or if they are saying, hey, we're a year and change out, we're going to the market, that's just the way it's going to work. And if that's the case, then I think they need to explore this conversation and consider whether they're really going to be all in to do the things necessary to win a World Series, whether they need to look at what might be out there for Adley Rutschman. And again, it's not me rooting for it, but I just think that they have to have that conversation at this point so that they're not in a place where a year from now, they're now looking to shop him as a rental piece.
Well, you're absolutely right, Glenn. And the other thing, as you know, is that there's a lot of teams always desperate for catching. Mm-hmm. And if someone's going to overpay for a position, catcher is a position that teams will overpay. And, you've got big market teams that need help catching, right? You've got teams like the Phillies, you've got teams like the Yankees, you've got a lot of big boys that have that need as well. And from the Orioles' perspective, you do have Sam Basayo, who could be the long-term catcher. I mean, the fact that Rutschman hasn't been signed and the fact that his agency tends to like players to get to the open market before signing, to me, either you're going to sign them long-term or you're not. Now, the hard part is if I'm the agent representing Adley Rutschman, I'm not signing based on production and based on performance because I know he's better than that. But the reality is, how do you pay someone far beyond what he's actually doing? And at some point, we also have to look in the mirror and say, did we over-evaluate him? Because he's never lived up to what we thought, right? He's never hit more than 20 home runs. He's never driven in more than 80 runs. For the last 3 years, his on-base percentage has been under 340. I mean, we can't deny what we're watching, and we're watching him in the middle of his prime years. So at some point, we have to take a deep breath. And then the other thing is, when you're a GM, you have to have the due diligence of always understanding what the trade value is on all your players, because you never know when someone's going to make a trade offer to you. And you can't be afraid to trade the most popular players that you have. I'm sorry, you just can't. And even though trading a player like Adley would get everyone upset with a fan base, the one thing that I learned over the years, and it's absolutely the truth, fans want to win. You can make all the trades you want. You can trade all the popular players that you want at the end of the day, as long as you're winning at the end. That's how it ends up being, truthfully, because fans at the end of the day want world championships. That's what they want.
What's interesting,
and Adley's so unique. How do you not, especially because you do have other catching options at the big league level and your prospects coming, how do you not shop it and see what you can get in return? Because I would think you would get a huge package back for him, especially knowing that the team getting him could control him for a year and a half. So as much as it's unpopular and as much as, I agree with you, I wouldn't want to trade Adley, but what if you could win a trade? What if it helps you get to the postseason? Then isn't it okay to do it? In my opinion, is yes.
I think that what you just said is an interesting conversation because, as you just alluded to a second ago, you still think they should be looking to add. I had this conversation with Eno Saris last week, and I'm just using names here. I'm not actually suggesting that you can do this, but I don't think you could say, for example, trade Adley Rutschman to acquire Joe Ryan. That wouldn't happen. But is it possible that you could trade Adley Rutschman, get pieces that either help you or make up for the pieces that you're losing in an attempt to pursue someone like Joe Ryan? Like, is it possible that trading Adley Rutschman, there are people that would say now you're just signaling another rebuild, that instead it's more about just sort of maybe getting the right pieces on your roster right now, even if it's not to win this year, but to win in 2027?
Oh, 100%. And look, keep in mind that, we're in an era where there's not quote unquote sellers. I'm not expecting sellers at the trade deadline outside of the Rockies and the Giants and the Angels. The Mets should be, but that's about it. Nobody else is going to sell. So, you got to look at trades from contenders to contenders. That's why when I was mentioning the Yankees and the Phillies as obvious fits for Rutschman, it's because, we're talking about making trades to make your team better, but it can be contender to contender. And, I consider the Orioles contenders. They're contenders. You got a league where you only have a handful of teams with a winning record. So you got a shot. And you get to October. We all know anything can happen in October. Get there to a short series and see what happens. So, yes, I think there is no question that, I wouldn't wait. I would make one last effort to sign Adley long-term. And if that came up short, I would be open to trading him at the trade deadline. Because I don't want to be in a position a year from now where I'm going to maybe just get a draft pick. That doesn't work for me. And so to me, absolutely, that doesn't mean you're going to get what you want, but I sure would find out.
Right.
If the Yankees want him bad enough, I know you don't want to trade him in division, but what if they gave you Carlos Legrand, George Lombard, and one other?
That is appealing. That is appealing.
There's always a deal out there that's going to make you better. And I think the other thing we have to understand is, look at the record. It's not working. You can't be get many games under 500 and think this is working and this team is good enough and these players are good enough. It's not. So it's time to try to fix it. And by the way, when you keep a core too long of a group and they don't perform, you tend to spark something when you can make a deal with a young star player that you were supposed to be building around. It sends a message to everybody else, which is you better perform or you'll be gone too. It's the wake-up call. It's not the same as the firing of a manager, but, what happened in Philadelphia when Rob Thompson got fired? It lit a fire under every player because you know what the players realized? They got Rob Thompson fired. And all of a sudden, they started playing better. The same thing can happen with a trade. You trade one of your young star, big-name guys like a Rutschman, that will absolutely wake everybody else up. And to realize, hey, we're going to be gone too if we don't perform. This is a production sport. This isn't about potential. It's not about being a prospect. It's not about people telling us where our ceiling is. It's about putting up the numbers and performing and winning baseball games. So this team hasn't won the last few years. You've tried the managerial change. You tried the coaching change. Now you're going to have to make some unpopular trades to try to win.
Jim, I brought up the name Joe Ryan because obviously I'm just looking for a pitcher with control, and maybe you'd say that you'd even be willing to rent a player, but it just seems tough to try to target rental guys given where the Orioles are record-wise. I don't know if that's practical. I do know, you brought up the Angels, and Reed Detmers has certainly looked like a different guy. But is Reed Detmers, who you would have control, is he really a top-of-the-rotation pitcher? Is he someone? Okay, that's what I wanted to answer.
No, he's not. Joe Ryan is, and Joe Ryan is more than a rental because I get him for a year and a half, and I would pay a price. I'm not afraid. All these prospects we love or young players we love, I'm not afraid to try to get a package to satisfy Minnesota to put Joe Ryan at the top of this rotation. Absolutely. Ryan and Bradish and Shane Baz and Trevor Rogers. I mean, all of a sudden, boom, Brandon Young. All of a sudden, I got a rotation. Rotations are going to win August and September.
Mm-hmm.
And this team eventually is going to hit. So I would go all in to get him.
That's my ideal. It's the ideal scenario, right? Is trying to get Joe Ryan. But I also acknowledge a lot of teams want Joe Ryan. Sure.
But overpay. Go get him right now. Overpay.
Do they have
Here's
enough?
The price Minnesota will do it. Oh, of course they have.
Okay.
Enough. You have enough in the minors. You have enough in the majors. You can make a combination to satisfy Jeremy Zoll. Go satisfy him. And look, and if you can't get a Joe Ryan, I don't like the way Freddie Peralta is throwing, and David Stearns has to get a lot back if he's going to trade Peralta because of the positions he's in. But the Giants are going to trade Robbie Ray, and you can say what you want about Ray. He's not a game 1 or 2 starter, but he could start game 3 or game 4 of a playoff game, and he's an upgrade at the back of the rotation. I'd be open to that. The price won't be as high as a Joe Ryan, but that would be at least get better. But, I'm a fan of being aggressive based on where the Orioles are right now. Being aggressive is extremely important, but I also wouldn't be afraid to do something bigger. I would not be afraid to do something bigger.
They could really, my boy Joe Ryan changes everything and would just be so ideal for this organization. Let me phrase this, Jim, because I know that you're not the type that's ever going to call for someone's job, but you alluded to the changes and what the Orioles have tried to do. If they come up short again this season, do we have to talk about where Mike Elias is at that point and the failures of 2 years after where they were? Do we have to have that conversation?
Yeah, we do. We have to do it every year. We have to do it with everybody every year and hold everybody accountable. It's all part of the gig. I think the ideal situation is the more continuity and stability you have in an organization, the better chance you have of winning long term. That's just whether it be John Schultz and Bobby Cox, or whether it was Dave Dombrowski and Jim Leland, or right now with Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, and Dave Roberts. Ideally, I want the perfect guys in those management positions leading together as a group. But it's still a bottom line business. It is what it is. And I just produce, just do the job. Then we have to have the discussions. Like if the Orioles finish 10, 12 games under 500, what's the plan to change? Sometimes you just need a new voice and somebody else to come in and try differently. It's very easy when you're an organization to fall in love with your own players, and over-evaluate what you have. And I think sometimes when you bring people on from the outside, they view it from a more of a non-biased type of position. And I think with the Orioles, you got too many underachieving young players. So either they're not as good as advertised, or you're not getting enough out of them. And so I think when a season ends, if the Orioles don't get better, you have to address why. Now, you've seen teams like the Cardinals and the Nationals and the White Sox do a lot better this year. In the case of St. Louis and Washington, it's very tangible, the amount of technology and analytics and game planning that those organizations has put together, and a lot of their players are now going to the next level, and it's significant to watch it happen. And behind the scenes, we could see it in spring training. We watched it start to happen, and then it carried out. I'm not saying that's what the Orioles are lacking, because I really don't know, to be honest, behind the scenes. But I do know one thing: it's not working to the level you need it to. So, for now, you got to find a way to get your players to live up to their potential, Mike Elias needs to go out and add pieces to help win, preferably a starter and at least a reliever. And then see where the cards fall. Again, only a few games out of the playoffs. Don't worry about the one-loss record. Just get there.
Jim Bowden, what all can we plug for you, sir?
You always plug everything, Glenn. You don't need to do anything else, but thanks for having me on. I appreciate it as always.
At Jim Bowden GM, that's how you follow him. Jim, you're the best. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate you.